All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. We are live from sunny Las Vegas, here from the Vegas Chess Festival, doing the official commentary. We have the 2026 National Open underway, our main event, along with a number of side events here at the Westgate Casino. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. We got Twitch, we got YouTube. We are joining this tournament for round 2. And yes, Dojo will be hosting the official commentary for the event, which is pretty cool. And yeah, in fact, I should probably make a Discord announcement very, very quick at Dojo, hosting the official commentary for the 2026 National Open. Tune in. All right, we got all the announcements up. Tune in this weekend, and then do a little panda enjoying life. How's everyone doing in the chat? Hopefully you're excited to follow the tournament. This is definitely, I think, one of the best tournaments all year in the United States. I've played this event a number of times myself, and generally I do enjoy playing it, but last year I did commentary for the tournament, and I really liked that. They invited me back, so I figured it would be fun to do commentary again. As fun as the tournament is to play, it's also very fun to just follow and then not have to play. So yeah, we have a number of strong players in the field. It's one of the strongest opens on U.S. soil year-round, and also one of the biggest. I think there's a total of over 1,000 players in all of the sections. There's a big open section that we'll be focusing on, but there's also large under 23, under 2100 sections, and so on. A lot of class sections that are always very, very competitive. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite events in the U.S. I think it rivals pretty much any other tournament. I think it's also one of the nicest events to play because, unlike some events that will remain nameless, you know, they actually provide boards here and clocks and like a nice environment and tons of side events, and there's simuls, and there's going to be a streamer panel soon. There's a bunch of chess streamers here as well. So yeah, very, very fun tournament to play, not just because the event itself is good, but also because there's a lot of side events. And, you know, last but certainly not least, you're also in Las Vegas. You're right in the middle of Las Vegas, you know, so obviously you can take advantage of that as a chess fan. So, folks, we have a number of grandmasters playing the event. Right now we're looking at the top board. This is the top seed, Zhao Jinchao, who represents the United States, originally from China. Very, very strong grandmaster, very experienced player, and very prolific player, I would say, on the open circuit. I've played him a number of times, and he is almost always playing these major events: National Open, Chicago Open, World Open. He's going round from tournament to tournament. He's often cleaning up on the Grand Prix list, playing all these events. So yeah, he is on board 1, and we are joining this event from the second round. So the first round took place yesterday evening, Wednesday night, here in Vegas. This is round 2. So most of the top seeds were able to win their first games, and they are now sitting on 1 point. It's a 9-round tournament, time control 90 plus 30. So very, very long classical tournament ahead of us. We have 2 rounds per day. I think I'll be doing the commentary for each round if all goes well. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys throughout this weekend as we see who wins one of the strongest open events. Doesn't he have the world record for most games undefeated? You know, I think he was up there. I don't know how many games he had undefeated, but he had a lot. Because he was playing from open to open, not losing many games, you know, winning a lot. But yeah, I'm not sure what his record is for how many undefeated games. Hello, hello. Yes, we'll be looking at a lot of live boards today. We have a number of live boards from the open section, and also we have a number of streamers that we can follow as well. We got James Canty playing, GM Canty, and we have the Chess Nerd as well playing the tournament as well. And we'll have other streamers that are going to be joining tonight when the lower sections join the event. Right now, it's only the open section playing this first 2 rounds, and then the lower sections, they start their tournament this evening. 158, wow, 158 games undefeated for Xiaojin Chao. So is that an ongoing record, or was that broken at some point? Because that is, yeah, that's crazy. It's a very, very nice record. So board 2, this is our board 1 player. Board 2, we have Grandmaster Christopher Yu, who is playing black here against Zoe Tang, who's actually one of the top female players in the country. She's been playing the U.S. Women's Championships the last couple of years, U.S. Girls Junior Championships as well. So she is a very formidable opponent. But Christopher also very, very strong, and he is often winning open tournaments. So I'm sure he is looking to do well in this one. And looks like they have very kind of fighting position so far. So we'll definitely check back in with this one. And then board 3 in the event, we have Victor Montvishin playing black. Actually, the fact that he's playing black, there was probably some player who was upset in the first round. Someone must have made a draw, because the colors are a bit odd. Well, actually, I'm not sure. But yeah, it looks like there was some upsets in the first round. So we have Victor Montvishin, 2540 from Ukraine. He's playing against nearly 2300 player from the United States, Harshan. Let's see if we can get the name. Harshan Reddy Jagarapu. My guess is likely a junior player here playing white. And then we have Grandmaster from India, Pranith Vupala. He's on board 4. Also a pretty young guy, playing Jashish Karthi of the United States. And then we have another junior on board 5, Liam Putnam, very, very strong player, international master from the U.S. Has, I think, a Grandmaster norm or 2, so definitely chasing his Grandmaster title, which he might get a norm for in this event. And he is playing WIM Silla Kaglar, who is a strong player from Turkey. And looks like she won her first round game, so she is now having a test. So this is typical for open sections. You have strong players usually playing down by several hundred points, but they still have to face quite good title players. So these games. I predict actually we're going to have a number of upsets in today's round. Some draws, maybe even some defeats, because these days, the lower-rated players, they don't really fear their high-rated players' opponents so much anymore. So I think we're definitely going to see some big upsets in today and moving forward. So this is board 5. We have a number of boards in front of us. I'm actually particularly interested in board 7, as this is GM Enrico Sevillano playing against International Master Bohdan Bilovil. Now, Enrico's technically the low-rated player here. His FIDE is down to 2280, but I've played with Enrico many, many times growing up. He was playing a lot in Southern California, and let me tell you guys, he is a very, very strong player. So I don't think this 2280 FIDE rating for him is accurate at all. So, this is still round 2. A lot of these matchups are between a high-rated player and much low-rated player, but this one, I would say, this is, basically equal fight, between Enrico and young international master from Ukraine, I believe, Bohdan Bilovil, who is quite good, definitely chasing his GM norms as well. And he might be the favorite on paper here, but Enrico is a very, very tricky, very crafty player. Originally from the Philippines, but representing the U.S. for many years. The cool thing for me to commentate this tournament is that I'm familiar with a lot of these players. Some of them I grew up playing against, some of them I've seen in tournaments, so I might be able to give you guys some insider info on anyone if you're curious. And looks like we have something like 34 live boards, which is pretty cool. So yeah, guys, if there's any players you want to see in particular, let me know. We have a lot of live games available. Actually, I'll post the live games link in the chat. Maybe if there's a mod, they can pin it in the Twitch. That would be very, very helpful. Let's see how Zach is doing. Our friend, the chess nerd. He lost his first round to Bodan Bilovil, the player we just saw was playing Enrico. But now he's, I'm sure, hoping to bounce back. I believe he's playing lower rated player, Tobias Rizzo. It doesn't tell me the flag. But this is Zach's current position. They're still developing very much in the opening. At a certain point, we'll start getting into the games, of course. But for now, we're just kind of getting a sense of things, seeing what's happening. Yeah, I've played Enrico many times, actually. I think he's one of my most played opponents. I would estimate I've played him something like at least 12 times in tournament play, maybe more. So yeah, in all kinds of tournaments too. GM norm, IM norm, open tournament, closed tournament. So yeah, played him many times, and with a brutal score. Do not ask me my score about with Enrico Sevillano. Do not ask me about the score. I do not want to answer that one. Don't even bring it up. Do not even think about. Definitely don't Google it or try to search it up. Okay, so this one's still very much developing, and we have another streamer, guys. If you're fans of Mr. Canty, James Canty, he is black here against international master Joseph Levine. And James actually had a good start to this tournament. In the first round, he drew one of the top seeds in the event, Grandmaster Zavin Andreasyan. Actually, that's why the colors were mixed up a little bit. But yeah, so Zavin Andreasyan, very, very strong Grandmaster from Armenia. James Canty managed to hold him to a draw in the first round, which was quite a nice result for him. And so now he's again playing up, this time against IM. And yeah, he's got the black pieces here. Somehow this king got checked. Not sure if this was intentional. He got checked here. And now bishop d4 is our live position. And okay, so many games to look at, guys. Why don't we start with the top boards? We just see what's going on board one. We have Grandmaster Zhao Jinchao, who is definitely looking to win his game here with the white pieces. He won the first round with black. Let's see what he did with white here in this game. So he's playing FIDE Master Mikhail Rostomian from Armenia. Likely a strong player. d4, knight f6, c4. So normal queen's gambit. e6, intending Nimzo Indian. White says knight f3. No, thank you. If you want to give bishop b4 check, go ahead. I won't play knight c3. I'll play bishop d2 or knight d2. So bishop b4 check indeed happens. Knight b d2. And white's idea here is that if you're going to trade the bishop for the knight, now I don't have to weaken my pawns, right? I can just recapture. So b6. Now b6 is a bit of an older way of, black has many ways to play this position. Castles is kind of the modern approach, just castling quickly and then following it up with either d5 or sometimes d6 as well. b6 is a bit older here because now after a3, black gives up the bishop. If black were to go back, then white gets e4 and like big center. This is supposed to be, I think, quite decent for white. So bishop takes d2, and now queen takes d2. Yeah, this is a bit of an older line, but this is how they used to play. Queen takes d2 looks very funny, but the idea is that white wants to develop the bishop to b2, put it on the long diagonal. So this is actually quite a classic developing scheme. And white is generally supposed to be a little bit better here because they got the bishop pair kind of for free, but it's still a very solid position for black, and it's quite harmonious. You got this e4 square, knight can come to e4, second knight comes to d7 and to f6, and yeah, I would say this is a very playable system for black, especially if you have a lot of experience in the structure. So e3, and black goes d5. Okay, d5 now is surprising because generally black is trying to play, I would say, like with d6, knight e4, this kind of like flamingo style harmonious development scheme. D5 is just saying like, okay, I'm just going to play in the center. Bishop E2, knight D7, maybe B3 I would also consider here for white. Castles, castles, and now white makes interesting moves. C takes D5. I think there's different ways to play the position. You could go B3, followed by bishop to B2, and you're just playing with the bishop pair, so we're not really trying to do anything special here with white, I would say. Just like putting the rooks in the center, and then eventually maybe expanding with B4, just seeing how black arranges his pieces and going from there. Should be a small advantage for white. But c takes d5 is a committal decision. He wants to see how black recaptures, whether he's going to take back with the piece or with the pawn. So he took back with the bishop. If he took back with the pawn, then bishop on b7 is kind of stuck. I think white can go b4 anyway, bishop to b2, start putting rooks on the c file. And yeah, white would definitely have a little bit of pressure, but on the other hand, black would have e4 square. He can start kind of working with this one. e4, f7, f5, bring the other knight to f6, queen to e7, and so on. But again, I think white officially should be a little bit better here. So bishop takes d5 played. And, okay, my board is getting a little bit scuffed here, but we'll fix it. b4, c6 on the board. So this is our live position here. b4, c6. I don't know if you guys can hear in the background, but Grandmaster Benjamin Feingold is giving a simul to a bunch of people. He's explaining to them the rules of the simul. You know, you got to wait for him to come to your board before you make your move. Okay, but let's talk about this position a little bit. So b4 played very natural, opening up the queen side a bit for white's pieces. And now black goes c6. So c6, this is a very ambitious move, I would say, because I think black wants to go b5 and start to play in the light squares. And at this point, white is thinking now, because he has to decide whether he wants to allow this or whether he wants to maybe play b5 himself, or something like a4 also would make sense. So I would definitely be considering something like either a4 or b5, because if white just continues normally here at bishop to b2, then black can kind of lock things up with b5 like this, and then the knight is coming to b6, and black has a lot of control over the light squares here. So here white's bishop pair actually would not be that effective. I recently had a game where I learned this lesson myself, where I had the bishop pair but total light square blockade for the opponent, and it was not fun to play against. So I don't know, maybe this is still, I'm sure this is still double-edged. White can play a4 here, but then knight b6 is not in time. The b pawn is hanging. Let's say if a6, a5, something like this. Still playable, but white's bishop on b2 is just kind of long-term bad. So the other option here for white would be to maybe to play b5 or a4, so that you can still play b5 yourself, and then the bishop can be opened up on the a3 diagonal. So Zhao, I think, is going to be thinking about a little bit here, because I think he has to decide whether this b5 thing is something he wants to allow, or if he wants to play a4 or himself b5 to see how to avoid this one. Now, my board keeps shifting around. I'm going to try to adjust things a little bit here. There we go. Okay, that should be good. That should be better. And okay, we can fix the board on our end as well. In the meantime, folks, if there's any games or players you're interested in following, let me know. We can check out their live position. And there we go. Okay, so I would say small advantage for white here. Game is definitely very, very much still developing, but I think he's going to be pressing for the win. Let's check out what's going on board 2. Board 2, I don't know too much about his opponent here, but board 2, we have a battle of the juniors, Zoe Tang against Christopher Yu. And yeah, as expected, this game is already getting very, very tactical. So let's take a look. Let's see what's happening here, because this is quite sharp. There's a queen on f2, knight on g3. What is the deal in this one? So let's go back. Oh, and this was a King's Indian. So this will be quite interesting for me personally, but hopefully for you guys as well. King's Indian, very, very sharp opening. So knight c3, bishop g7, Christopher Yu going all out for the win here with the black pieces. But Zoe Tang, she's a very dangerous player, very tactical. So she goes bishop e2, castles, and bishop to e3. This has been one of the trendier setups in modern times, to bring the bishops out and keep the g4 square under control so that there's no knight to g4, and to potentially think about advancing on the king side with g4, h4, h5, and so on. So Christopher goes knight c6, one of the sharpest ways to counter this. d5, knight e5, f4, and knight eg4. So yeah, quite a sharp way to deal with it. Black is just going Humpty Dumpty with the knights. Just very, very scary. I was trying to think of another line recently that I was looking at that I thought was interesting as well. Yeah, so this one is definitely one of the sharpest ways of playing, because basically, like, if white does not push d5, black's idea is that he wants to go e5. So if white was to advance with g4, then black is going to strike back with e5, d5, and knight d4. And then this would be very, very difficult to deal with. You definitely can't give up your dark squared bishop, as number one, black would just have a lot of compensation, but secondly, they have knight takes pawn at the end, and there's what we call a discovered attack against the queen. So this would be horrible for white. So white is kind of obliged to push forward before black plays d5 and takes a lot of space, but now knight g4, bishop drops back, knight h6, knight drops back. White now wants to play h3 and g4 and totally dominate the knight. So this knight drops back. There's no g4 yet. White goes knight f3. If white had played h3 for Zoe, then black would have to figure something out, because this g4 would be a threat now. But I'm sure black has some idea. I'm sure this is a theoretical position. Yeah, Clutch is saying you can also start with h3, which, yeah, I think I'm familiar with this one as well. Then black often goes e6 or c6, and it's like f4, knight drops back here, and black gives up a lot of space, but on the other hand, white has the risk of getting overextended, and that's kind of what black is aiming at here. So f4, bishop d2, knight goes back, knight f3, c6, black starts chipping away. When you're playing against a space advantage, it's very important that you fight against it with pawns, because your pieces ultimately need some support. So h3 now, looking to play g4, b5. Wow, b5 played by Christopher. I just want to see, do we have timestamps? We don't have timestamps, so I'm not sure how long he spent on this move, but possibly he's still in his book here with this one, because he's just trying to set the board on fire. C takes b5, c takes d5, takes back. So black has sacrificed the pawn, but on the other hand, he gets this beautiful f5 square for the knight. So his position looks very, very active. White castled. Knight to g3. Rook to e1, queen b6 check, king h2, queen f2, and bishop to c4 played as we were going through the game. So yeah, as we can see, Christopher is up on the clock. He still has an hour and 17. So he spent a little bit of time, but yeah, he's ahead of the opponent. And yeah, very, very double-edged position. I mean, white is up a pawn, but it's like, it really feels like black has a lot of counterplay. Like white has a lot of weaknesses here. There's a lot of squares. Black has all kinds of knight g4 check ideas. Bishop takes h3 might be in the air. Knight h5. So this one, very, very double-edged. Kind of what you're hoping for with the King's Indian. I just want to go back to this one, h3, b5. Yeah, imagine having to deal with this. b5 is a very chaotic move here because it threatens to push b4 and win the e-pawn. So if white were to take on c6, for example, then black's idea would be to throw in b4. The knight has to move somewhere. Let's say knight d5, knight takes e4. And when white loses the e-pawn in this kind of position, it's very disturbing for white, because now the f5 square is given up and the knight on e4 is strong. And I mean, I don't know what's going on here. Of course, there's like c7, all kinds of stuff. But if black can kind of kick this knight off of d5, bishop on g7 is very strong. I think black here can easily get the upper hand. So on b5, that's why we saw c takes b5. But now black takes on d5, and he's able to disrupt white structure here. It gets the knight to f5. Versus if he had just taken here with the c pawn after c takes d5, knight on h6 is, of course, completely cut out of the game, and white would have a pretty obvious advantage. Let me get the arrows here. So b5, tremendous move. And it is a pawn sacrifice, but yeah, it feels like black's pieces here get a ton of activity. Now, queen f2, very, very annoying move. I actually want to talk about this queen f2 move for a second, because I think this is kind of a high-level move, because it's hard to get the queen in. And this is like a principle, I would really think about, where it's like, the power of infiltration is something that is really, I think, maybe even understated in chess. Getting your opponent's pieces, getting your pieces into your opponent's camp. But when you can infiltrate without your opponent being able to immediately kick you out, then it's often very, very annoying and can be very dangerous to deal with. So that here there's like no easy way to kick the queen, right, without losing material. There's no bishop e3, rook f1 is covered, knight e4 is covered. So the fact that the queen can survive here in white's camp is just very annoying, because now the queen is super close to the king. There's all these like potential checks and tactics. You have to worry about like knight h5, queen to g3 check. Again, all these like knight to g4 check ideas, bishop takes h3. So now there's all these tactics looming in the air. And so Zoe plays bishop to c4, maybe looking to try to go like knight e4, or to somehow harass the queen. Oh, she wants maybe bishop e3. Maybe that's her idea. Of course, it's not so easy, because bishop e3, there's still queen takes b2, but knight on g3 will hang. There's going to be knight a4. So right now, it's very, very sharp position here. I think Christopher has a lot to calculate, because if you make some random move, let's say bishop d7, then there's like bishop e3, queen takes b2, knight a4. And now the queen is under attack, knight on g3 is hit. So black is in danger of overextending themselves. I don't know what's happening here. There's still like queen to b4 hitting the bishop, so maybe black is still fine, especially if he has time to get one of the knights to e4 here, like with, let's say, knight ge4 or knight fe4. But that's kind of, I think, what white is at least thinking about. But of course, he has a lot of moves. He can bring maybe one of the knight. No, e4 right now is covered. So knight e4 right now, not possible. Maybe bishop f5. Try to get the knight to e4. Maybe knight f5 back, just to be safe, and open up the g3 square for the queen, cover e3 as well. So very, very sharp position here. My instincts say that like black is quite active. But on the other hand, e7 is hanging, so it's not the easiest position. Like, this could easily go wrong for black as well if he somehow doesn't find the right activity. The first thing I would be trying to make work is like bishop takes h3, but king takes h3, and I'm not sure I fully see the vision here. Knight f5, knight h5, threatening mate, but king can drop back. Although, wait, here there's knight g4 check and knight g3 mate. Okay, hold on. Now I'm starting to see some vision, guys. Hold on. So this could actually be a scary thing, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back. So bishop takes h3, threatening mate on g2, threatening knight g4 check potentially. You can't take with the pawn, so king takes is forced, and then knight f5, threatening mate on g3. So king can't go back, because then knight to g4, this is checkmate. So knight e2, I guess white would have to play. Maybe there's another move. But knight e2, white's king looks extremely vulnerable. So I would really be interested in this one. But I don't quite see the knockout here. And we did sacrifice a piece, and now rook to f1 is coming. So I'm not sure black has enough time here to get the attack going. Knight e4 I would be looking at, but rook f1, and where's the shachmat? Where's the shachmat? I don't see it. So if bishop takes h3 is not working, then I'd be looking at less active moves, sadly. But maybe knight f5, which also covers the e7 pawn, and the e3 square, and then maybe sets up queen to g3. And then from here, black can try to continue like h5, h4, maybe bishop to d7, maybe rook to c8. Okay, so Christopher has a lot to think about for this one because it feels like very, very kind of unclear double-edged position. So he has to really play precisely, find some activity for the pieces, and make sure he doesn't give white any easy counter punches. Let's jump to board 3, see what's happening here. Oh, wow. Board 3 has just started to explode with e5. Okay, let's go back. So this looked like Catalan. And here, Matvician Grandmaster playing black against the Catalan. So g3, d5, we have the Catalan opening. Knight f3 gives bishop b4 check, drops back to e7. So yeah, this one has become very, very popular in the last 10 years or so. I think actually even more at this point, let's say 15 years. With the idea of kind of misplacing white's bishop on d2, so now it has a harder time getting to the knight's diagonal. So bishop g2, knight d7, c6, a5. There's a lot of moves either side can make here in terms of developing their pieces and improving their position and so on. a5 is kind of one of them. A bit of a modern approach, but black's idea is that he kind of stakes out some space on the queen side first and foremost, and then figures out what he's going to do with the bishop, let's say b6 and so on. So bishop f4, white improves their bishop, queen to a5, a3, castles, knight bd2, knight h5, knight to g5, threatening checkmate on h7, g6, and bishop drops back to e3, and now e5. So black takes advantage of the fact that white's knight made this jump to g5 and decides to try and fight for the center. Now white takes on e5 and d4 played. Oh, so this just got very, very tactical. So e5 takes d4, and I'm not sure if white anticipated this one because this is something that's easily missable. Maybe he was only considering knight takes e5 and then he was going to take here, black takes back, knight can jump back to f3, he can play against isolated queen pawn, or maybe this knight jumps, something like that. But d4, black of course playing against the knight on g5, so you can't take this one. Bishop takes g5, black picks up a minor piece and should be winning. But otherwise, where does the bishop go? You have bishop to f4, but then you're kind of dropping the bishop to at least knight takes f4. And we run into something like this. Knight takes f4, g takes f4, and then black can also follow up with knight takes e5. Again, playing against the hanging knight on g5. Sure, there's still knight takes h7. Here is kind of a counter desperado, but for me it looks like the dark squared bishop here is going to be an absolute powerhouse piece for black. So take, let's say queen takes e5. We end up in a position like this. Knight f3 most likely, queen goes somewhere. I guess white is kind of picking up a pawn here, but somehow for me it feels like the dark squared bishop is just a really, really strong piece. And then black has like instant compensation here. King to g7, rook h8. Honestly, I would think that black is at least fine here. At least fine. But let's just go back. So yeah, this one getting very, very sharp. So bishop f4 actually on the board. So knight takes f4 is one option. You could also play. You could also capture on e5 or take on g5 in some order. Yeah, so also possible is to take on g5, and then play knight takes e5 like this. And then material equalizes, but if we look at the structure, it feels like white's pawn on g5 probably a weakness, and not so easy for white to, like if you go f4 here, then knight to g4. And you're just experiencing even more problems. Knight to e3. Now white's position is extremely weak. I think black is much better. Bishop on g2, noticeably bad piece with c6, b7. So this is actually very possible here. Yeah, I think black has a number of kind of tempting options here. And it is a 90 plus 30 game, so they're not really getting extra time in move 40. But with a 30-second increment, I've seen Matvician play. I've played him a number of times. I think he is willing to spend time as long as he feels like there's something to look at. He has a chance here to get big advantage here with black potentially. So I think he's going to kind of explore his options. And that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure which one he's going to go for here. You could also just take on e5 simply, not worry about white starks your bishop, because if bishop e5, queen e5, we're still pretty active. But then I guess knight f3, and we're still losing this pawn. Yeah, so my guess is we're going to see this one, and then either knight e5 or bishop takes on g5. I think this one honestly looks very, very tempting. Like, your d pawn is strong. All of our pieces are good. Like, bishop can come out to f5 here very quickly. Rooks come to e8 and d8. Whoops, horrible arrow. All of black's pieces just kind of, yeah, standing really well. I don't know. Maybe white has some pluses as well. They have knight e4, knight f6 check. But it's just one check. I don't know. Bishop f5, for example. And, okay, it's still tactical. Yeah, I don't know what's exactly happening here. Rook takes d4. So there is stuff to analyze here. This d pawn for black is a bit of a concern. Maybe rook to d8 simply, and it's not such a big deal. Queen takes e5 also possible here, but queen e5 always runs into knight f3, and then it hits the d pawn. So this one is a little bit annoying from black's point of view. So some interesting options. Clearly he, yeah, had this in mind when he played e5, and now I think he's kind of choosing between some tempting options for black. Maybe even there's something else to do. Okay, we'll come back to this one. Let's check out Canty, see how Canty's doing. I think there's actually a couple of requests for that game. And yeah, this one was quite tricky out of the opening. So he's playing International Master. And oh, we had another suggestion, h6. Oh. Okay, let's go back. Okay, we come back to Canty. Hold on. Because that was kind of game changer. We have another suggestion, h6. Guys. h6. Now this is called, yeah, mobility. Oh. I was thinking about this, but somehow it didn't quite register that, yeah, the bishop is caught. Maybe e6. Maybe e6 saves white, indeed. Because otherwise, if the knight goes back, there's g5. And I don't think white is getting enough for the piece here. In this case, if e6 takes, and bishop is still trapped. But h6, e6. Yeah, this could get very hectic. Although, let's see. If we take, let's say we just take. And let's say we just... Oh, we can just recapture, huh? And bishop is still done for. Everything is covered. Uh-huh. So there's h6 as well. Yeah, I think that's what he's calculating, because if h6 works, then you play h6 because you're winning a piece, maybe for a pawn or two, but it doesn't really feel like it's going to be enough. Like our king, I think, is going to be safe. So h6, I think. Yeah. Okay. We'll check in on this one. Let's go to Canty. We were wanting to see James Canty play. And let's see what he's been up to. So this was some kind of Sicilian defense. d6. Takes. Classical Sicilian. Bishop to c4. Queen to b6. So bishop c4 is not the main move in the position, but it is one of the main lines. Bishop to g5 has been long considered kind of the most challenging test of the classical Sicilian with knight c6. But bishop c4, the Fischer-Sozin, is definitely very, very playable. And now black goes queen to b6. So queen b6, yeah, is one of the most common moves in response. This is not the Grievous Sicilian. Actually, it's similar. The Grievous Sicilian is after knight c6, d4, takes, queen b6 in this exact position. This one is the so-called Grievous Sicilian, named after the Greek grandmaster Efstratios Grivas. Is also quite a good coach. But yeah, here queen b6 is played basically to put pressure on knight on d4 and say, like, if you go bishop e3, well, then I might be able to take on b2. So knight to b5, one of many moves for white. You can also go like knight to b3, but knight b5, a6, bishop e3, white gets a tempo, queen a5, and knight goes back to d4. Now black plays e6, white trades on c6, pawn takes, queen f3, d5, takes, castles queenside. Can't take the bishop because rook on a8 is hanging. So bishop to b7, bishop drop back, bishop e7. White gives this check, king f8. So black loses castling here, but it's not such a big deal because the king should be able to kind of tuck away eventually. So bishop to d4, h5, h3, knight e4. And now this seems to be live position here after knight e4. So now white is facing some questions here because black is starting to take on c3 and on a4. And if knight takes e4, you could take the bishop or potentially think about taking the knight. I'm not sure. Maybe queen takes bishop. And there's a lot of threats still in the position. If you take the knight here, white has, I think, some ways of covering. Maybe this is possible too. Maybe queen g3, I guess, threatening the counter is annoying. So I'd probably take on a4. But white doesn't have to take on e4 here. He can also kind of drop back. I think this would be the obvious move here. Bishop to b3, just parking the bishop so that it's not hanging. If knight c3, bishop takes c3, park this bishop as well. I mean, to me, position looks kind of nice for white. Like, black has to figure out what he's doing with the king. But it's not so easy because black does have the center. So white will have to kind of figure out how he wants to break through here. So knight e4 on the board, expecting bishop to b3, but maybe he is considering to take on e4 and look at queen to g3 type ideas. Like takes, queen to g3 now also. Very, very possible and annoying for black to have to defend this one. Like, you don't really want to play f6 in this kind of position. That looks very, very loose. Like f6, knight c5 already, for example, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop, hitting the e-pawn. You know, you can take on a2, but whatever. That's like, there's no attack. It's just your queen. White can take the bishop here or take on e6, and that's an attack. Like this is a lot of pieces for white, you know, breaking through. So black is not going to be surviving this one, for example. So knight c5 is there. Bishop takes c5, bishop takes c5, check, king f7, and then, I don't know, bishop a3, for example, and bringing the rook to e1 next. And we have opposite color bishops in the middle game, which means that white would have some serious potential for an attack. Queen c7 was there as well. Yes, thank you, queen c7. Just winning the game on the spot. So yeah, this could be potentially very dangerous for black. Rook g8, but then the rook and king are kind of in each other's way. This is not what you want to be doing. Knight c5 anyway. And this is just beautiful dark square play, right, for white here. Queen d6, queen c7, you know, just okay. Black is playing queen d7 here, so it's not like it's not totally resignable, but this is really, really bad position for black. Like white is just the only one attacking here. You know, it's like you're playing soccer, guys, use an analogy, and it's like only black has to defend the goal. White's king is super safe. White doesn't have to defend their goal at all. So yeah, maybe he's thinking about taking and queen to g3 because this, and then knight comes to c5. So this does not look fun for black. If knight e4, d-e4, let's say queen g3 like this, hitting g7, still doesn't look fun. You have to defend the pawn somehow. f6, then bishop drops back to b3, and it just feels like white just has very, very pleasant game. Better king, better structure, better pieces, better ingredients, Papa John's. So yeah, interesting choice here for international master here, Joseph Levine, threatening Thinking about knight takes e4 here, potentially. Let's see how our other streamer is doing. Zachary Sane from Canada, aka the Chess Nerd. Now he is facing the Caro-Kann defense. He goes for exchange Caro-Kann, trades on d5, bishop to d3. Actually, let me unmute this. Knight c6, c3, bishop f4. And yeah, pretty typical development here. Knight g3. And now knight h5. Okay, knight h5 is a weird move. Forcing some trades, but seems kind of concrete, so maybe not so bad. Just a little bit weird to do this so early. Takes fg for white. So Zachary getting frisky with the open f file. Knight e7, bishop f4, bishop g6. So a lot of bishops about to get traded here. White playing bishop f4, hoping for black to take so that he can strengthen his structure with gf and then get a beautiful control over the e5 square. Black, of course, does not oblige, but instead plays bishop to g6 and now offers white to trade on g6 so that he can improve his position. So, okay, I would say close to even game here. This exchange Caro, I don't think white really has much, but maybe this open f file is actually a bit little something for white. He can bring the rook to e1, and yeah, he's got the e5 square as well. So rook to e1. He's got the open f file, maybe knight to e5 somewhere. Okay, of course we have to figure out what to do with the bishop, but maybe something like queen c2. Takes, and then white's going rook to e1, knight to e5, and yeah, trying to put some pressure on the king side. We'll see. Very possible that he can still get some advantage here, but seems kind of solid for black. Okay, other games, guys. We have Alice Lee playing on board 11. Alice Lee, one of the top female players in the United States. She's on board 11 here. And, oh, this position is about to get really interesting because, no. I thought she was about to win the queen for 2 rooks after bishop to b7, but that is not the case. Queen a7. In fact, they just traded rooks in some kind of strange way. Okay. I'm just curious how this one came to be. So this was Sicilian. Rossalimo. And knight d4. And, okay, a lot of moves here. D takes e5. Black wins a pawn, but white has a lot of activity. Knight f6. Wins the pawn back. Takes. Queen c7. Bishop e3. b6. So Alice goes b6 here. Defending the pawn on c5. What else? And now rook takes c5. Queen takes a8. So basically white kind of snagged the pawn here. Bishop to b7. He has queen takes a7. And then the c pawn is also hanging. Queen c6, f3 seems to defend everything for white. So I'm not sure. Actually, this is kind of tricky for black. She's currently a pawn down. Maybe her idea is to take on b2, but then rook to b1 tempo. Bishop goes somewhere, and yeah, maybe this isn't so bad for black. Also, she has some potential discoveries as well with like bishop to e6. So I think Alice is probably in control here. Also, she's way up on the clock, so she doesn't seem to be too concerned about her own position. I think she'd be spending more time if she were. And now she has some options. She can think about like bishop e6, bishop a6. So some ideas here for black. Yeah, let me make sure everything is going well with the stream. I think we are all good. Maybe I'll add the chess.com moves so we can hear the move sounds. Hopefully it's not too loud. You guys let me know if the move sounds are too loud. Let's check the move sounds. How's that? Move sounds too loud? Or just right. Or you didn't hear them at all. Also possible. All is good. Beautiful. Okay, we have board 5. We have board 7 here. Enrico against Bodan. For me, this could be the game of the round, because this is like, you know, a lot of people are like playing up, you know, some upsets potentially. But this one, it's like, this one I think big chance for an upset. And look at this. We had like kind of classic 4 knights Scotch, H6, early G5, Knight E4. So very, very aggressive from black here. And now C3 from white. So this one could be quite chaotic, I think. Quite chaotic. Yeah, Enrico used to be much higher rated and a very, very strong player. I believe he still is a strong player. It's just, you know, partly maybe age. I would say there's a lot of rating deflation as well. You know, you're playing a lot of juniors, and they're stealing your points. So I would say he is potentially one of the underrated players in this round. Okay, C3, and now black is thinking on this one. Yeah, I've seen some great games from Enrico here in this very tournament. Yeah, very ambitious the way black has played this one. Knight on E4. He is maybe intending to go F5, F4, but like he's weakened the king side, so this could bounce back. You know, Bodan, I think he's a young guy. He might not know who Enrico is. He might think like, okay, you know, some 2280, you know, wash GM, I should be able to take him out tactically. But Enrico, very, very tactical, very tricky player. So I wouldn't be surprised if he manages to pull off the upset here. You know, somewhere maybe white can go F3, Knight G3, Knight takes G3, start to fight for the squares. Also quite good. You know, quite good strategically as well. No, Enrico, very, very good player. So, yeah, if he's in good form, I think he's definitely got good chances here. Okay, folks, we've been on for about an hour here. I'm going to take a quick break, see what's happening. All right, folks, welcome back to the 2026 National Open. We are here live from Vegas following round 2, one of the strongest open tournaments in the United States. Okay, so we were last looking at this game before we left off with Enrico Sevillano, Grandmaster, against Bodan Biloviel. One of the top games, I think, of this round 2 on board 7. And let's see what happened here. So, Knight E4, C3. Hitting the bishop, this is where we left off. Black played bishop c5, and now Enrico decided to take on e4 and go queen a4, double attack, hitting pawn on c6, pawn on e4. Now black has a choice to make. Is he going to try to defend both pawns, or perhaps only one of them? So queen e7 could be a move, queen e8 could be a move. I think these are maybe the two main options. Yeah, queen e7 would be tempting to try to play as actively as possible, and queen takes c6, bishop to b7, followed by f5, f4. This could be very, very dangerous for white, I would agree. But H6 is also hanging though, so that's kind of an issue. We don't want to allow that. So takes bishop b7, queen takes h6. This would be a problem because here f5, I think white is just having way too much counterplay. So queen e7, queen takes c6. I mean, maybe black could try to really slow play it, like king g7, bishop to b7. Is one possibility, but it's bold. It's bold. It's a big pawn sacrifice. But you could also play queen e8 here. Maybe queen e8 could be a simpler way to deal. And we're still looking for f5, although we have to be careful about queen c4 check. But the plan could be like bishop back to b6 and then f5. f5, f4 is always coming. So it's always a big potential fear here for white. But black has to figure out, I mean, maybe queen takes e4 is not always a threat because of f5, f4 there. So I'm curious if black could come up with like a tricky move. Let's say, what would be a tricky way to set this up? Because the king kind of gets caught in the crossfire. There's also queen d5, but queen d5 you get whacked with the rook to d1, so I'm not really sure about this one. But I wonder if there's a way to... Yeah, I don't see it. I was trying. This is what we're trying to do. Like here, let's say take f5, and then f4. Noah's Ark trap to win the bishop. But the problem is white always has queen c4 check to get out. So I can't think of a good preparatory move that would allow us to do this. Like if king goes over, takes f5, then white has check from e5, for example. So yeah. Not an easy choice here for black. And black, I mean, is behind in development. Like white has rook d1 coming. He has the d4 square. So it's not so obvious to me that this should be nice for black. I feel like white has a lot of positional trumps here himself. So, okay, could be scary for black. We'll keep an eye on this one. Let's keep going around the horn. Let's go to board 5. Liam Putnam, trying to get his second point of the tournament. We have Blood Queen. Hello, Blood Queen. Shout outs. How are you? Let's see what Liam's been up to. So Liam had this opening. Looks like this was c3 Sicilian. Well, no, knight f3, g6, and now c3. Now c3. Okay, so accelerated dragon. White goes c3, d5, takes d4. We transpose back into classic c3 Sicilian and a bit frisky. Knight g5, castles, queen to b3, e6, knight e4. So white here playing very actively. Queen c6, d5. Every move coming with a bit of a punch here. Bishop e3, castles, rook d1, and now b5. Yeah, Scylla, I know her from St. Louis as well. She goes to St. Louis University, and definitely a very decent player. Now look at this move, though. Knight d6. Knight d6. Wow. Wow, very nice. Just floating the knight into black's position. Earlier in the show, guys, we talked about the power of being able to infiltrate with your pieces. Yeah, when your piece is able to get into the opponent's camp, this can be very annoying. So note the knight, of course, cannot be taken because bishop takes f7 check wins the queen on d6. So black has to just tolerate the knight on d6, but how is she going to do that? Because knight is threatening to take on f7 as well. So if knight e5, knight e5 seems like the obvious choice. Maybe white is continuing bishop to f4. And now there feels like there's all kinds of threats looming with like knight takes f7 and things on the diagonals. But I'm not sure if knight takes f7 is a huge threat right now. Black will take with the rook. Bishop e5, bishop e5. So, sharp, but not necessarily so horrible for black. Oh, so c4 played. c4 played. Black was not intimidated. Queen a3. And now this is our live board. So queen a3, white holds on to this knight on d6. a7 pawn is hanging as well. It feels like black is under some pressure here. Like there's ideas already for a6 to think about knight takes f7. rook takes f7, queen e7. And this is pinned, this is pinned. So that looks already good for white, actually. I don't see a defense here for black, because there's no knight e5, queen takes c7. And if there's no knight e5, well, then you're just losing the rook, so you're going to be down the exchange and, I guess, getting mated, too. And it's like checkmate. I mean, it's like nothing, dog. It's like nothing for black. So that's a big threat right now. Knight takes f7, queen e7, and black's just got like nothing. Damn. So some problems for black. Maybe knight e5 is still there to keep everything defended. But if knight a5, I mean, white can take on a7. d6 is still not really hanging because bishop takes f7 check. I think is winning material for white. Rook takes here, takes, bishop takes here. And actually it's two pieces for the rook, but 2 pawns, so yeah, probably white is doing well here. Bishop d4 coming soon. So queen a7, and then if you trade queens, well, then bishop takes a7 and rook is trapped. So, okay, some serious problems here for Scylla in this game to figure out. Bishop e5 played. Bishop e5 played. So now if knight takes f7, rook takes, queen e7. Black's idea is queen on c7 is defended, so she can play... What exactly? I don't know, actually, because if knight moves, there's still bishop takes f7, so white's still winning the exchange. Hold on, guys. Code red. Knight takes f7. There's bishop takes h2, but I don't think that makes huge difference. You guys seeing any defense here for black? Rook f7, queen e7. That looks like white's just winning the exchange. And, I mean, the game, basically, because it's like queen takes f7, check, queen g. I mean, it's very, very... Black's king is super open. And you're not gonna. It's not a position where you're gonna get some compensation or something. Maybe bishop takes h2 here, king h1, but there's still no knight e5 because queen takes queen. And if knight goes anywhere else, okay, there's queen f6, but you can take on f7 with the bishop. And so black's queen is not defending here. So knight f7, guys. Yeah, I'm not seeing defense. This looks like possible knockout for Liam Putnam. Okay, let's check in with Zach, the chess nerd. See how he's doing. He had this exchange Caro position. Let's just back it up a couple moves. We saw it here. Bishop f4, bishop g6. Takes here. Okay, could have taken on d3 too. I'm not sure what's happening here. I guess he wanted to take on e7. Take on f8, and yeah, white's taking more pieces. Or if queen takes e7, then he has kind of good knight against bad bishop, so knight can come to e5. So takes, knight e5, knight c6, and now bishop takes g6. Okay, so I would expect probably hg here from black. And then we just have this typical exchange Caro, like rook ae1 will come, white supports knight on e5. I think it's a little bit better for white, like he can kind of use his heavy pieces better. He has h4, h5 to start asking some questions on the king side, trying to open up some lines. Queen back to d1. Okay, I think small advantage here for our boy Zachary. Black here thinking, I wonder what he's thinking about. Knight takes e5, he can't do. White will recapture. There's check. Okay, so maybe he's thinking about knight takes e5. Which seems possible, actually. Knight takes e5. FG, I don't think he's thinking about, because this one is just way too weakening. E-pawn is now going to be major target. White can go FG, but black, I think, cannot in this case. So I think white would be super happy here. So I guess he's thinking about knight takes e5. So pawn takes e5. He has to give check. He needs the tempo, so he can take back the bishop. And the question is, would you rather have this structure as black? And maybe you would. Maybe you would, compared to this position where white gets to plug the e-file, and now he'd be in time with rook takes e5. Although I guess this would be, this would be basically the same thing as if black goes knight takes e5. Although maybe this one is also pleasant for white, because it just feels like your rooks have very easy play here. Rook f4, rook ef1, h4, h5, queen back to d1, queen to g4. And white is just having some pressure. Pressing, as they say. So maybe it doesn't make huge difference, but I guess black is thinking about which way he wants to take back here. Okay, let's see some game. I think we should go back to, and he does take on e5. So yeah, I guess we were kind of correctly anticipating that one. Let's go to board 1. And let's go back here, because we left it off here, b4, c6. And I was saying either white needs to play bishop to b2 or advance with b5. He goes bishop to b2. Black goes a5. I thought black might go b5 himself. He goes a5. Queen to c2. Very, very chill. Perhaps preparing knight to d2 in order to control the e4 square. Very chill grandmaster move, guys. Queen c2, just improving his position. Takes. Bishop e4, queen c3. Inviting another tempo, queen b3. Now the queen finds safe square on b3. Can't get tempoed here. No, look at what he did here, guys. Bishop e4. He could have gone queen b3 right away, but then he gets tempoed with bishop d5. So he doesn't want that. He goes queen c3. He forces black to put the knight here. Now he goes queen b3. Now bishop on e4 is going to get hit with knight d2. So queen e7, knight d2. Bishop drops back, b5. c5 takes, rook a1. So game is progressing a bit slowly, but I would say actually white is conducting this quite well, quite masterfully. He's held on to the bishop pair. His dark square bishop eventually will get opened up on this diagonal and definitely feel like a useful piece. And yeah, I mean, he has kept a small edge, which is about the best that white can really hope for a lot of the time in these positions. One day he might go for f3, e4 to kind of shut the light square bishop out of the game here for black. So definitely a bit of a grandmaster squeeze here. He's got 15 minutes on the clock. I think that's going to be important because there's no second time control, I think. So he's got 15 minutes on his opponent. Opponent's going to be relying on 30-second increments. So he can definitely squeeze and put some pressure. Okay, I want to also go back to board 2. Let's just go around the horn now. So that was board 1. So board 2, this was the Christopher Yu game. This one was very messy. So here, queen f2, bishop c4. He does go back with the knight h5, creating this g3 square for the queen and maybe threatening to take on f4 after that. So knight e2 played. Knight to e4. So knight e2 covers g3 square, but now knight e4, this knight comes in. Queen to c1, defending the b pawn. But it really feels like black is super active. Knight hg3, knight comes back. Bishop to e3. Oh, this was white's idea. Queen c1 to play bishop to e3. So knight e3, Zoe goes bishop e3. Knight takes e2, attacking the queen. Bishop takes f2, knight c1. And now bishop to d4. Wow, okay, very, very tactical here. I mean, black had a choice, or white had a choice, could have taken this knight on c1, but then drops the bishop on f2, would be down a piece. And if white had taken on e4, then maybe bishop f5 first, maybe bishop takes b2, and then bishop f5. And black looks to be winning the exchange. Take. And knight gets out via d3 square. I don't know, still very complicated, but seems like this is working out for black. Maybe bishop f5 first. Take, and then bishop b2. Ah, like this, yeah. And white would have to give up the rook. So take, so white goes bishop to d4. So white's still temporarily pieced down, but her idea is now bishop d4. If black trades here, for example, then white's still winning the piece back because two knights are hanging. Knight on c1 is trapped. So black here needs to figure out how to tactically get the most out of the knight on c1. He goes a6. Wow, just again leaving both knights hanging. a6, what a crazy move by Christopher, I have to say. And now Zoe's thinking in this position. So a6 is wild because this knight on c1 is trapped. Knight on e4, though, is hanging. So what if white goes rook takes e4? Doesn't she win her piece back and the knight is trapped on c1? I guess he has bishop f5 still. Rook e3, though? Takes b5, bishop takes b5, maybe knight takes a2. Black still has this one. And material is roughly equal, but yeah, this one could go either way, actually, because white has a lot of weaknesses, but e-pawn is still hanging. Very, very tactical here, actually, guys. Very hard to say what's happening. White decides to go rook takes knight on c1, keeping the attack alive on the knight on e4. Also very sensible. And I'm not sure. This could go either way. Like, here, perhaps white can get into some kind of like equalish ending, or maybe black gets some nice like Banco style endgame where the rook kind of somehow breaks through on a2 and b2, and white ends up with a lot of weaknesses in the resulting structure. It'd be hard to say. Maybe f5 here for black, for example, just to try to secure this powerful square on e4. Let's see what happens. Takes on b5. Yeah, it takes b5. I think that's very logical. Bishop takes b5. We can go rook takes a2. No, not rook a2, because e4 will hang. So takes, bishop takes b5. And now something with knight on e4. Maybe f5, maybe bishop f5. My instinct, f5. No, knight d2. Wow, a different move. Wow, knight d2. You guys seeing this? Knight d... Man, tactics on every move. If knight takes d2, he picks up the dark square bishop. This is very strong. And then he'll win the pawn back at some point and just have a powerful bishop pair. But otherwise, he wants to take on f3 with check. So if bishop takes g7, he takes on f3 with check, ruins white's structure, and then we get some kind of endgame like this where maybe black is pawn down, but long-term strategic compensation because white's pawns are so weak. Now, would it be enough for a win here for black? That's very difficult to say. But knight d2, heck of a move. So Christopher definitely posing some problems here. To Zoe Tang. Some serious tactical problems. Okay, let's jump to board 3. This one was also very interesting. This was the Matvishyn game, where he had this crazy break with e5 takes d4. And now bishop f4, he played knight takes e5, guys. He didn't go h6. We thought h6 was maybe winning a piece for black. And maybe it is, but maybe he thought it wasn't worth it. I realize now there's another option white had. Knight takes f7 here. And knight e6 was also a possibility. Maybe knight e6. Takes, queen takes g6 check. Knight g7, bishop takes h6. And white's attack just looks absolutely tremendous. Bishop e4 is coming and so on. Knight e4. So this maybe this was what perturbed him. So instead he just goes knight takes e5, one of the simpler choices we were looking at. b4 from white. b4. Wow. A move that looks bad because of en passant, but black actually did not want to take because then knight takes b3 would attack the queen. Queen has sustained contact with the knight. He'd have to go back queen c7, but then he's pinned. It's not so comfortable. Also, knight can come to d4 and just take this pawn. So queen c7, he drops back without allowing white's knight back in. Bishop takes e5, played queen e5, knight back to f3, queen to g7, c5, bishop f5, and we have a couple more moves here. Knight c4, bishop e6, and now rook a2. Rook a2, very subtle, delicate move. Transferring the rook over to d2 despite the temporary pin on the diagonal. I guess white's saying black can't do anything with this one. So this is interesting. Looks like black has the bishop pair. But white's position to me looks like very harmonious. Rook is coming to d2. He's got the d pawn under attack. Oh, but d3. Oh, here comes Matvishyn. He's down to 11 minutes, actually. So this is not easy at all. But d3. Wow. Heck of a move. I guess sacrificing a pawn. What's the idea here for black? d3. If white takes this one, what does black want here? Bishop g4? Bishop d5? What is the idea here for black? Queen can't really get in anywhere. Bishop f5. Knight on h5 is a bit a bit out of the game as well. Okay, I'm very curious. Pawn takes, so we're about to find out. So e takes d3. White's also wondering, why did black sacrifice this pawn? Did he think he's just losing the pawn anyway and he wants to just toss it while he can do it under better circumstances? I'm not sure. Should be said, white could have also taken with the rook, but decided not to, decided to take with the pawn. Now black does have very nice square on d5 for the bishop, but is that really worth the full pawn? So what do we think, folks? Is this going to be enough for black? Keep in mind, he's trying to win this thing. I mean, it's an open tournament. You're playing way down most rounds. There's going to be 9 games. People are running up scores. You're probably going to try to win here as the higher rated player. But what's his idea? I'm still trying to figure out, like, what's his next move going to be? He played d3. White took. And now he's about to show the follow-up here. Magician is about to reveal the trick. G5. G5, G4? Maybe. It's very surprising. Okay, he just goes knight f6. Okay. So that was his idea. I think he just wants the d5 square. He just wants to put the knight on d5. Maybe even on c3. Bishop back to f6. Very positional kind of compensation here. I actually don't mind it. I think it's not that easy for white to deal with this here. Like knight e5, knight d5. Bishop comes to f6. And yeah, I think this is going to be a bit difficult for white to handle. Yeah, you usually don't go with the eval bar here. I think it's more fun to just follow the games live as the players are seeing them, so we can just kind of see what happens, try to follow it through their own eyes. I think it's the more interesting way to look at it. I also think, with this way, it's like you're kind of closer to the truth, right? Like we're closer to the players than the players are to the engines. Believe you me, guys. So rook e2 played, knight d5, fast. Now black is starting knight c3, and white is going to have to deal with this one somehow. So what is white's intent? He won rook e2 here relatively quickly. He must have been, after knight f6, I think you're expecting black to go knight d5. So what was his plan here? Maybe bring the other rook over to e1? Because now knight c3 is a bit of a question. Meanwhile, guys, this Christopher Yu game did go the way we were kind of thinking. So knight d2 by Christopher, very nice resource here to cause some damage to white's position. Bishop takes g7. Knight takes f3. Takes with check. King takes. a4. Now this is the live position. So he's down a pawn, but oh man, so much compensation here for black. Hello. You guys want to join?
Best game analysis in the house.
Get in here.
Oh my goodness.
Folks, we have some special guests. Hold on, let me switch the camera here.
This is the man.
Here guys, pull up some chairs.
Hold on. Here you go, lady, take it.
I'm going to switch to the
Dude, I love your little setup. It's the same as last year.
You should on a laptop too.
I guess when I'm traveling. Well, you know what? We're sticking with this camera. Folks, we have some special guests here. To my left, Tony from Chess Sharks. To my right, Jay Dizzy.
Woo.
Both streamers. You guys are playing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
In like 3 hours.
But we're going to come hang out for a bit. Hold on. What are we looking at?
This is
and Zoe Tang?
board 2 game. Yeah, Christopher Yu against Zoe Tang.
Okay, hold on. I'm liking white already. This is looking rough.
Zoe being one of the top, female juniors, but also just female players in the country.
Wow.
Okay, wait. How is Yu going to hold this? This is kind of tough.
I don't know. He's down a pawn, but white structure is kind of
But
flimsy.
The files, there's pressure. 2 passed pawns on the queen side.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, it's very double-edged. It could be easily worse for black, but I think it could also like kind of easily go wrong for white too.
But yeah,
But it is 2 pawns.
it's like you need some more dark square help.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Zoe with 20 minutes. That's a little tough.
Actually, with like fewer pieces, these passed pawns are very strong. You know, they just start running b4, a5. But let me ask you guys some stuff. What section are you playing in?
The under 1250.
Under 1250? You?
U21.
U21. And you guys are both streaming your games.
That's right.
Yep.
Nice. Nice. So we'll be following your games. We'll
Hopefully
be
they're
watching.
Hopefully we win the first round.
How are you guys feeling about the tournament? You excited?
Oh, dude, I'm
Nervous?
so hyped.
Very excited, yeah.
So fun.
It almost feels weird that I have a game soon because we've been doing so much other stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, wait, hold on. I have to like play soon.
You got to lock in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're here for the tournament. Oh, man.
Okay, wait.
But I'm
If you
feeling
double
good.
on the E file, how do you protect the E pawn? Do you have to
Oh,
chuck
sorry.
it?
Sorry.
No, you're good. I guess
there's-
king of
there's
6.
king of 6.
Yeah.
There's king of 6.
Yeah, so black is...
Ah,
Black has like the positional...
I'm going to get you, Kostya. Just wait. Hold on. I'll find a way.
But you like white here, huh?
I do. I really like white here. I'd take white here.
Wow.
And I'd love to see Zoe like do the upset. It would be huge.
That would be, yeah, pretty big for the tournament.
Like huge
be
for her.
cool.
I mean, what does she need to hit? I am like she needs rating, but does
100
she have
points.
norms?
She might have a norm. I'm not sure, actually. But, yeah, this would be a great chance to get a norm. If she did well in this tournament.
She needs to move soon.
Yeah, problem is the time, because there's no second time
There's
control.
No second.
Oh. Like there's no
Additional time after 40
Increment?
moves. No, there
Oh.
is. Yeah, there's 30 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no, like bonus time.
How would you normally get bonus time?
So a lot of times at move 40, you would get like another half hour
Oh.
once you make it to move 40. But I don't think they do that for this tournament here because it's 2 rounds per day. So they're, yeah, basically on the 20 minutes. But I don't know if it's good for white, then it could just be like really good. like b4, a5, bishop comes to, none of my arrows are working. Bishop comes to c6.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, these pawns are
How
rolling.
do you keep going from there? I keep losing the A pawn.
yeah, I guess like rook a1
Okay, 1, bishop A6.
and like b5.
Okay. After C6.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. Maybe he's cooked.
No, actually, like black has to like find something creative here, I think, to slow white down.
Like energetic.
Yeah, and there
Oh,
she goes.
for it.
Oh,
Okay,
b4.
direct challenge.
Yeah, go Zoe.
That makes sense, yeah, because now you're not really giving him a chance to do something like creative. Now he's like, oh, well, we gotta deal with this.
Well, basically, yeah, just not giving him time
Mm-hmm.
because he has to like start creating tactics in the next like 3 moves. Otherwise, these pawns are gonna start. Yeah, I mean, white has these like weaknesses, but the problem is, it's like what is black gonna do to white here? It's like rook is on f8.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's like desperado. Like you try to play like I don't like anything. Maybe E5. Maybe King F6.
Yeah, start with king f6.
Preemptive.
Well, and also depending on what you do, if you like attack those pawns with other pawns, then you could potentially undouble the pawns, and then she could end up having like
Bishop
a potential
F5.
little-
Really, he thinks that's enough.
Yeah, like g5 never really does anything because white can just trade off.
right.
Yeah, he develops. Also, he's playing very fast. Like he's playing as if like, no problem.
That was pretty fast, yeah.
Okay, he does have rook b8 coming. So if a5, there's rook to b8.
Yeah, no rook B8. I think.
So that's his
maybe
point.
You take time to
Okay.
infiltrate.
But you could go rook c6.
Yeah, rook C6 is what I was.
You
looking
can maybe rook c3.
at. No, this is rook C3. I mean rook C6. Rook C6.
And you would do rook c6 because if they move their rook to b8, then you just step in the way, or why? What does the rook to c8, c6 do?
I would do it to maybe double the rooks, and if
Oh.
no rook B8, I also like the idea of rook A6, right? Because we said if we trade down, the pawns become more powerful.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, something like this. Maybe like rook c7 now coming. And Yeah, I mean, okay, black can kind of slow us down, but
But if he takes the bishop and then you go up to rook c7, like then your pawns are.
oh, white's
kind of
taking
like-
back.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
But their bishop e7 is interesting.
Oh, bishop d7 still.
Yeah, bishop e7.
Oh wait, was that here? Rook c6, bishop d7. Yeah, actually, bishop
it's-
d7 is a problem.
Yeah.
No, is it? Rook takes e7.
Hmm.
Bishop takes here.
Take,
Rook takes here.
take, and take
Ooh,
again.
spicy.
And now rook b8.
And
Are you sure you win this?
no, definitely not.
Hmm.
Not so
I
good.
think it's a draw now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, the pawns are weak now. Okay, yeah. So rook c6, bishop d7. He comes back.
Yeah.
Maybe rook c3.
Do it slow.
Rook b8, something like this. Yeah, and then trying to.
It just feels slow. Maybe still bishop e7.
Hmm. But with this one, if white gets to trade and do something like this, I think this is kind of suffering for black.
Oh,
Yeah.
but he's already suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was already like. I think he's trying to press her on the clock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Are we tied to this board or?
No. Actually, I wanted to see Liam Putnam because he had what I thought was an interesting game. And
Whoa.
yeah,
whoa,
looks
what's
like
happening here? Whoa.
so.
Yo,
We left
chill.
it off here, and I thought he could take on f7, and he did. So
like
probably that was right.
I like this move.
Bishop h2, king h1, knight f6. So yeah, the idea was if rook f7, then white comes in with queen e7,
Ew.
and you just can't defend this guy.
Oh my goodness.
So you're winning the rook, and it's like a huge attack.
Yo, that's gross.
So black played knight f6. Okay, wow. Offering discovered attack, but like it's not so easy because knight takes d5. Bishop d4. Oh, that's a sick move. Oh my god. Oh, I need a second. Wow, that's gross. that's nasty. Takes knight h6 mate.
Dang.
Wow.
Wow, that's pretty.
That's mean.
Yeah.
Wow,
is-
that is so nice.
Filthy. Yeah.
Sheesh. Grotesque.
So takes here. Bishop b7, and I guess this is our live position.
Black is stuck.
Wait, but the
Mhm.
cool thing we just saw, what happened?
That
That
was
didn't-
a possibility.
Oh,
Yeah,
but
she.
it didn't happen.
Yeah, black took on f7, which is I guess, definitely a better move. But yeah, this is just the idea that like he just leaves the bishop hanging in order
Yeah.
to
To be able to,
set up this
too
mate.
bad.
Yeah, so takes, and now I guess white is winning the exchange.
Yeah, because would you take? Yeah.
Does take, and should be winning. If queen takes, then bishop on h2 is hanging, and
Oh, you take the bishop. What about like queen e7?
this is probably good too. Yeah, I think it's good too. Like if you get the queens off, then I think you're really happy with the
Two
Then the
rooks.
rook
Extra rook.
swings. And
yeah. And then if king takes, it feels like black's king is very open.
oh my gosh. This
Yeah, I
feels like
think-
it has to be bad.
I think
For
you
black, yeah.
do your queen e7 if you wanted to
Still?
trade. Yeah, like,
King takes.
And then you take the bishop.
and
Maybe.
you take here at the end, exactly. And then, yeah, this looks like kind of dream endgame for white because two rooks are really strong, and yeah.
Yeah.
It's
outplay the
a
bishop.
guarantee win. It's-
Yeah, okay, so Liam, I think doing well. Okay, king f7 on the board.
We'll see queen check.
We'll
for
see if he
sure.
goes this technical
sure.
route, yeah. Because I think white has a lot of good moves. Like, he could probably do, like, rook e1, too. Just-
Mhm.
Then I am.
which is a bit of a... Actually, I don't know if this works. King takes, I don't see the... Okay, I don't know if we... Everything... Because this is covered now by the bishop, so I don't know if that's actually
Whoa,
so
yeah.
hot. But maybe you could, like, drop back. But I don't know. I like this...
Well, but the drop back is kind of scary. Those
Queen
are
e7.
those are scary bishops if you leave them.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get you when you least
Yeah,
suspect
no,
it.
So,
not about those.
very practical when you're winning to just trade down.
I'm getting used to that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting more comfortable doing that.
Is my boy Canty
Big
still
strategy.
playing?
Yeah, James is playing.
Did he draw last night?
He did.
Okay, I thought so.
He did. Yeah. He drew Grandmaster yesterday.
Ooh, that's what's
Dang.
up.
This is position here. He's playing black. We saw it here. 94. White took.
Oh goodness.
Queen takes. Knight back to c3.
Wait, queen takes. Not pawn takes.
Um,
I don't like pawn takes.
yeah, I think here if black recaptured, his idea was to play queen g3 and hit this one. And then that's pretty annoying to me. And then bishop will come back.
Okay, fair enough.
And if you take with the pawn, your bishop is like kind of stuck, right?
Or
I guess he's stuck anyway.
Yeah, so okay, black decided to take on a4. I thought queen g3 is interesting here too, but knight c3 first, queen c6, now queen e3, h4, rook e1, f4.
Wow.
d2.
Swing the rook
Wow.
this way. What's it doing now?
So notice what white is doing. He's like, he has a dark square bishop. He doesn't have the light square bishop, so he puts everything on the dark squares to make sure.
Yeah.
I don't love this for white.
No?
No.
Would you say he's playing checkers?
Yes. Start. Yeah, like no light square control.
Yeah, strategically, actually, I think black is okay. He can fix his king, like king g8.
It doesn't even need fixing, I think.
I feel like there's a lot of like tactics for white though.
Where?
I don't know. I just feel like, I mean, their light square bishop isn't like doing anything. Their queen, like, I don't know. It just seems like there's more action going on
we're
that
cooking.
side.
We're pushing a4, a3. And
For
once
white?
for black. And once we crack, white's gonna spend the rest of the time defending.
Oh, pushing p,
Yeah,
a4,
well, I guess we'll
a3.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time like figuring out what to do with white here, which tells me it's bad.
I think, okay, the thing is, this knight on c3 defends the king really well, but what it really wants to be is like e5. So maybe knight e2, knight g1, knight f3.
Oh my god,
That's a
so
lot
slow.
of moves.
Yeah.
Okay, hold up. Okay, how about queen f3 first?
What
That's
if you
where I'd
just
be
start
looking
like
at queen
sending
f3.
those pawns up the
Queen f3. I
board
want to
there?
know where your rook commits to.
Yeah, queen f3 and g4 also.
Yeah.
I think g4 is definitely an idea, just to try to like open the g
Wait,
file.
if that's the
Because
case.
then you can get your rook behind the. I just feel like you have more
yeah.
But en
opportunity
passant, you
there.
can't take it.
Yeah, white's trying to play on the king side. Absolutely. Even g4 here, I think, is
Can you take?
possible. You can take, yeah, queen takes,
And then boom.
g6, and but still, you're trying to
But now
open it
maybe
up as
now you
white.
could kind of bring
It's
your
just
knight
so
over and
solid
stuff.
for black.
Yeah. I actually don't know. I feel like it could go either way.
Wait, yeah, actually,
Oh,
you
bishop
can't move your
h4
knight
is-
actually because I think that's checkmate.
No, this one's good. We got this one defended.
Oh, true. I didn't see him there.
Yeah, rook
boy,
g1.
I need to do some puzzles.
You gotta warm up for
You gotta go warm up, actually?
No, actually, yeah.
Oh God.
Ooh, 23 minutes. Okay, so this one,
Dude, this item's cooked, man. I'm calling it.
it's intimidating. You're playing Canty's a big guy, It's-
Literally.
And
Does he have like one of the stairs?
Oh yeah.
When they like stare at you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a gorilla looking at you.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like literally. A gorilla that wears chains.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's good. Is
The psychological
let's see.
warfare.
This GM I know that I see a lot. What's his name? Jung Chao.
Zhao Jin Chao,
Yes.
our board one.
Well,
He's got a
Oh,
stare.
wow.
because Antipop freaking left.
He's got a stare. This was his position. He was a little bit better here. There wasn't a whole lot going on here, but small advantage. He has the bishop pair unopposed.
There's a
Dark
weakness.
square bishop,
It's
yeah.
kind of nice.
It's pretty strong here. Arrows there. There we go.
But I mean, if you get some trades, this will sputter.
Well, and knights can be kind of annoying when they're like, when they're like protecting each other and they're kind of just jumping around. They got each other's back.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think that's when knights are weak.
Very solid.
Really?
Yeah, because if you bump one, the other one is hanging, and
Yeah.
they're fighting over the same square. So I actually consider knights like that not ideal. But he's the IM. Ask him.
I mean, it can go both. I see what you both are saying. You have a point. You have a point.
Well, I think if they're in like an ideal spot where like maybe they don't want to move, it's hard to get rid of them when they're like that. I think is what I'm thinking.
Can be very solid. Liam, by the way, did win his game.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Here,
man.
here.
Oh, okay.
Bishop b4 and
Oh, he didn't
Did
take
he
the
pass
bishop.
the pawns?
Really?
yeah, I guess black didn't want to trade bishops here. Like she goes rook e8 just to keep more pieces on the board, but now it's an issue because rook to d7 is a threat and king
bishop.
takes.
Oh,
So
okay. That was just
I see, I
tactical.
see.
yeah, so basically just double attack. So this was kind of a blunder. Like game should have still continued here and would have been a lot of time for white to try and convert. But yeah, tactics.
Tactics, baby. Woo.
That's how you win games, man. That's all it is. What's chat saying? They
Let's
drop like
see.
a big paragraph.
This is probably our bot. Yeah.
The Stream Elements bot, loyal for sure.
Now, you'll be streaming for Chess Sharks tonight, and Jay Dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We'll be streaming for Jay Dizzy. Yep.
On behalf.
We have some cool commentators though, so that'll be fun.
Oh, who's commentating for you?
Tonight is Reggie, and tomorrow is one of Quayward. He's another streamer, and then we have Borat Chess actually tomorrow night.
Borat Chess.
Good.
He's an NM for sure.
NM. Nice.
So yeah, we got some
Shout
cool
out to
peeps.
Borat Chess. Great.
And maybe you'll look at our games.
I'll be looking at your games as well. I'll be commentating
oh, no.
too.
We're gonna get roasted.
We'll be following the streamer games.
Analysis.
Brutal.
Kostya would be like, I don't know why Tony played this freaking move. He thinks he's being aggressive. It's just bad.
What is
What
Tony
did he say?
doing? Bro thinks he's a card.
Yeah, that's.
Do you have a commentator?
Oh no,
No.
no, I don't do that.
What's Caden doing? What's
He's doing
doing the
the
lecture?
camp and
The
game
camp.
analysis.
Game analysis.
Yeah, so he'll be working.
Nice. Okay. Well, if you guys want commentary on Tony's game, you can come back here. We'll be following it for sure. I mean, it's you guys and then the top boards. That's who we're going to be focusing on.
Hey man.
Nice.
I'll come in. I'll jump in afterwards. You can roast me live.
Will you be here in the spot, or are you gonna move?
If I'm not here, I might be on the other side of the room.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to be visible, so try to find me after your
Okay.
games.
Oh, we'll
That'll be
find
like, where's Kostya? Like,
Yeah,
where's Waldo? Kinda?
exactly.
Nice.
Where's what? All right, break.
Okay.
We gotta go
All
find
right,
Shelby
hi.
still.
Okay, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Of course.
We'll stop
Good
in a while.
luck.
Always good to see you.
Yeah, get some rest.
I know. I need to do some puzzles.
All right, folks, that was Tony from the Chess Sharks and Jay Dizzy. They are two of the streamers here in Vegas. So they're going to be streaming their games live every round. They got a dedicated board, and we'll be following them as well. The Chess Runner, thank you for the raid. Welcome, folks. You're watching the 2026 Vegas Chess Festival. This is the National Open, one of the biggest and strongest events year-round on U.S. soil. Very high prize fund. They're playing for thousands of dollars in the open section and in some of the under sections as well. So I'm back to this Christopher Yu game where, earlier I thought Christopher was doing quite well, but after A4, this endgame has completely turned around in terms of the evaluation, because it feels like White has these two passed pawns. Rook C3 played, King G3, H4, Bishop C8, Rook comes to B1, Bishop drops back to F5. Offering a repetition here already is Christopher, but I don't think White is going to take it. I think White is going to keep the Rook on the B file and try to advance, because White here has these two protected passed pawns. If they get going, then they're going to be very strong. Bishop C6, A5, and this endgame could easily start to go very wrong for Black. So Christopher here, I think, has to be very, very careful here. But the problem for Zoe is that she's down to 11 minutes. So even if the endgame is good for White, it's not going to be easy to find all these moves on low time. And so mistakes may very well happen. Okay, we have a lot of games to look at, guys. Some of these are starting to approach time trouble. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on a lot of the games here. Gotta check something. Okay, Rook BC1. So Rook went from E1 to C1, Bishop back to F5, Rook BC1. Now White has an additional idea of Rook to C7, infiltrating on the 7th rank, trading off a pair of rooks, and then trying to win with their two connected passers after that. So this is definitely a game to watch, guys. Definitely a big game to watch. Okay, let's see. Let's go around the horn, see what's happening. Any action in our games. Board 1 here, still pretty quiet. Zhao Jinchao, he's putting the squeeze on his opponent here, and he's got the squeeze both on the board and on the clock. Bishop takes d4, knight b4 just played. The knight here having a pretty sensible circuit, knight c2. The knight has some squares, but white is definitely having a lot of ideas to put pressure on his opponent. Maybe rook to a7 now. Feels very, very tempting. Just activating the rook and pinning black's pieces, putting pressure on the knight, the queen. This guy is loose. So this one actually feels like this could get very, very tricky for black very, very quickly. I love this rook a7 move. Again, we see the power of infiltration without refutation. You know, you infiltrate with your pieces. If they cannot be kicked out, usually it's a very, very dangerous and powerful thing. So rook a7 already threatens bishop takes b6, for example. Now, it won't be game over. Rook a7, black can play queen to d6, but then you get hit with knight to c4. So white's pieces are really starting to position themselves on the ideal squares. So this one looking good for our top seed. We've been watching Christopher Yu. He is trying to defend here after rook bc1. Matvishyn on board 3, he was getting into time trouble. And now let's look at what's going on here. He sacrificed the pawn. He goes knight f6, knight to d5, knight e5, knight back to c7, knight a5, bishop to f6, knight c4. White's knights are starting to cause some problems here for black. Bishop to g4 played, f3, bishop drops back. Love this bishop g4 move, provoking this weakening move f3. Now knight to d6 played. And rook takes d6. Black sacrifices the exchange and goes knight to b5. Wow. Takes, and knight to b5. So heck of a compensation here, I gotta say, for black. This pawn is pretty weak, of course. A3 pawn is loose, and now black has all the dark squares to work with. So bishop d4, bishop c3, bishop b2, and knight c3 is a major threat right now, just to win back the exchange. So some very, very interesting compensation here for Matvishyn. And even though he's down on time, I think it's actually more difficult for white to handle this position. Honestly, I think black is okay. He goes rook to e1 here. Okay, very sensible move, actually, looking for rook to e8. But probably black can just start by taking this pawn, defend the e8 square, and just keep all the compensation in the position. Bishop to f5, bishop to d4. So yeah, it is an extra exchange for white, but I do feel like black has some very reasonable comp. Okay, bishop c3 played. Bishop c3. So he has other ideas here. Not knight takes d6, simple bishop c3, a lot more active, trying to win this back immediately, and opening up the d4 square. So now rook e8 actually doesn't make a lot of sense. Bishop takes here. This would just lead to trades, and white gives back the exchange, and I think would not be very happy here, because when white gives back the material, they're just left with these weaknesses in the long run. So what to do? Rook to d1, rook to f1, but then black is coming in very actively. Queen d4 check, bishop to f5 even. So a lot of counterplay here, but sharp game, you know, less than 10 minutes. Won't be easy here for black. Will not be easy. Then we have our board 4 game. We haven't looked at this one too much. This one looks to be a bit of a positional squeeze. h4, black grabbed this pawn on a2, h5, rook e5, queen g4, rook e3. So this is actually very, very instructive position where white has sacrificed a pawn, heavy piece middle game, but is looking to attack. And we're about to see whether king safety is going to count for something here in this position. I think it will. I think white has all the practical chances in the world. Rook h3, queen h4, h takes g6. And yeah, black can start pushing the pawn, but by the time the pawn is getting to a3, a2, it's scary, but black is already getting mated. For example, let's just say a5, rook h3, a4, queen h4, a3, h takes g6. And it's already game over. I don't think black is surviving this one. Already has to try something like queen to g7, and yeah, white is well, probably breaking through. Okay, so rook to e3 here. The grandmaster seems to be doing well. Also want to check in with board 7. This was the Enrico game. We saw this one after queen a4, queen f6 played by black. Not defending the e-pawn on queen takes e4. Perhaps he had bishop a6 in mind, followed by rook to e8, and white would have some very, very serious tactical problems. So, yeah, I can understand that one. He goes rook to d1 instead, rook to e8, queen to c4, bishop drops back to f8, and now f4. Vicious move from white, ripping open the f-file, looking to create counterplay, and how? Takes on f3, knight to d4. What a move. Now the pawn is still pinned. He wants to go rook takes f3. And black to play here, 20 minutes on the clock. Not easy at all. Not easy at all here. As this one can go either way. Very double-edged position. Black's king being weak, but black having the bishop pair. White having very nice square on d4. Remember, guys, what I said. Enrico Saviano, he's a dangerous player. I picked one board where it could be upset, and this seems like the one. Okay, let's jump back to this Christopher Yu endgame, because this one looked very interesting. Rook c1, e6 played. So e6, this is how he tries to create some drama. Takes on e6, bishop takes e6. And now 7 minutes for Zoe to try and convert this endgame. She goes rook to c7, trading off a pair of rooks in order to win the game with her two connected pass pawns. Rook back to a8. Christopher is not interested in trading. He keeps both rooks in a defensive position, but notice that white here has a very hard time making progress. It's hard to move something here without hanging. So she's going to have to figure out rook to b1, bishop c6, and so on. Maybe bishop c6 right now, but then rook a6. And how do you make progress? If b5, there's rook takes a4. So pawns would still be hanging. Rook to b1, perhaps. But then rook to b6. So this could get very, very tricky for white. A lot of stuff is under attack, and it's hard to hold on to everything, especially with low time. If you blunder one thing, then blunder one pawn, then all of the others could fall very, very quickly. Folks, I'm just going to take another quick break here. Looks like we've been on for another hour. Get up quickly, stretch my legs. Race to GM, thank you for subscribing 16 months in a row. And I'll leave the board up. I'll just stand up here from my chair to take a little walk, and we will be back soon with more coverage. Stay tuned, everyone. All right, folks, we are back with the National Open, watching round 2 here as the games are getting very, very spicy. Here we see Christopher Yu, our number 2 seed, trying to survive this endgame. Now down 2 pawns against Zoe Tang, the young junior. Let's just see the last couple of moves here. So rook c7, rook d1, bishop b3 takes here, rook d7, and now rook to b6. Black desperately trying to hang on here, down 2 pawns. This one's tricky because white here only has 3 minutes for Zoe. Black cannot take on a4 because then he will drop on f7 and definitely be losing in that case. So he's basically just trying to stalemate white's pieces here on the queen side so that she can't advance. But at some point, she will figure it out, and start to advance her pawns. But how to do that? Like, if she doesn't keep the pressure on f7, then black can take on a4. But one thing that's for sure is that white is no longer really risking. And she has a lot of ideas here. Maybe just like f5, king f4, for example, as black isn't really threatening to do much on the queen side. Objectively, probably winning position here for white, but not easy to play this accurately, and she only has 2 minutes left. So she's very much going to have to figure this out on the time control, on the increment, which is not easy. I kind of like f5 here. I mean, it doesn't do a whole lot, but it gives some space for the king. Rook b7 is another idea to try and trade off a pair of rooks. If bishop takes a4, we have bishop c4 here if we want, and we're still very, very much in position here to win the game. Big advantage, I would say, for white, probably decisive. So rook b7 is possible, but then I imagine Christopher is just going to keep the rook on the board with the rook f6. And but then if rook f6, then a5, white starts pushing the pawns. Actually, this gets incredibly dangerous for black. So rook to b7 now. 1 minute for Zoe, but rook to b7, and I don't actually see what black is doing there right away. Rook a7, she tries to trade this rook, also fair. Rook a7, and covers the a pawn. So now if black moves this rook over, now white's a pawn isn't hanging, but the problem for white is still the bishop and the b pawn are kind of stuck. So I'm not sure why rook b7 wasn't played. Maybe she didn't want to give up this pawn. Bishop c4, bishop e8, but I feel like in a situation like this looks great for white. Like outside passed pawn, active pieces, black is tied down to this one. I would think white has great winning chances there. But rook a7, rook to b8. And yeah, now how is white supposed to make progress? You can't move the bishop, you can't move the a pawn. You could go back, rook to d3. And this kind of tactic doesn't work. Rook f7, bishop c4, because black can defend rook f6, and you just end up down a rook. Although maybe b5, maybe this is still annoying to deal with, but probably wouldn't bet on it. Okay, rook to d3. Yeah, rook to d3 expected, attacking the bishop. And now bishop is going to go somewhere, maybe bishop to e6. And how to continue to make progress there for white. I think rook to b7 there was the way to go, because this one, white's still just 2 pawns up, but it's difficult to make progress. Bishop and pawns are completely squeezed here. Ooh, very interesting endgame. Very interesting endgame. I want to jump to board 4 real quick. Stuff's happening on board 4. We saw here Pranith Vupala playing against 2260 opponents. Finds the breakthrough here in the heavy piece endgame. He sacrificed a pawn and now, boom, sacrifices the rook. And on FG, I think he could take either pawn with check, but I think his idea is actually maybe to take with the rook on e6. Could that be right? No, I'm not sure. What does he want here? Because if queen takes, queen f7 defends. And if queen takes this one, he wants to take here, queen g7, then take here, queen f7, then give this check, king f8, then give this check, And yeah, now this should be winning for white because he's going to be likely picking up the queen in a lot of lines or the rook in the corner. And then white's just up a lot of material. Maybe rook somewhere like this is good too. So very, very nice sacrifice here. Rook takes e6. Looks to be winning for white. Yeah, looks to be just totally winning. Queen takes g6. Queen takes e6. If king f8, you're just taking the rook. If queen f7, we're giving this check, king f8, and then this check. And then I think this is probably the simplest. And yeah, black cannot take here because queen takes check, and then we save the rook. So looks like Praneeth is going to be going on to 2 points here very soon. Zoe, what'd she do? Bishop e6, rook c7, now king h6. Christopher continuing to play fast. I think he realizes his position is bad, so this is his only chance, is to try and keep up the pressure on the clock. But rook to d4, defending the pawn once and preparing some kind of bishop move. But at some point, white's going to have to figure out how to get the bishop out of the way. Perhaps give up the b pawn, but try to win with the a pawn. Not so easy to do. Maybe she wants to completely defend the pawn. Rook c2, rook b2, go full passive, then bishop gets out of the way, and then her pawns can start running. I'm not sure, but yeah, really not easy for white to continue to make progress here. She's going to have to find some kind of plan here on Christopher's time. Let's jump to board 1. Here, Zhao Jinchao, he did play rook a7, which we thought was obvious and good. Rook to c8, looking for some back rank ideas, but now queen to a3, covering the back rank, pinning the knight to b4. So white did not have time for this one and this one because black gives rook c1 check and bishop d3. So this would have been very annoying. So queen a3, he's not threatening this yet, but he's going to go g3 or h3 next move, and then he's going to finally be threatening to take on d7. So black here has some pretty significant tactical issues here that they're going to have to figure out. Zoe, under 30 seconds now. Rook d4. Christopher, he just goes back, king to g7. Yeah, he's really not trying to win anymore. I think he's very, very happy here with the draw at this point. But the question is, can white try and figure out how to win here? She goes rook to c6. Again, offering the rook trade. Black says, no thank you. Rook to b7. Notice how much white is trying to trade here. Yeah, if she can trade off a pair of rooks, it gets a lot easier to push those pawns. But black doesn't allow it. Now I wonder if she's going to go for some kind of exchange sacrifice with rook takes e6. Nope, she goes rook to d6. Now with this idea, rook to d8. Oh, very nice idea here. Guys, I think Zoe is slowly converting this one. She's slowly trying to figure it out. But I think she's managing because she's about to play rook to d8, force a pair of rooks off. Then note that white can quickly bring the king after that. Once the rooks come off, there's no danger to the king whatsoever. So the king can start advancing towards the queen side. And eventually, this is just going to be 2 protected passed pawns that black has to defend against, which is not easy. Now, white's pawns on the king side look super ugly because they're doubled, but it's not so easy for black to actually take advantage of them, and it's going to take some time for black to do anything to these pawns. In the meantime, white's pushing a5, a6, white's pushing p. Guys, white is pushing these pawns. So Zoe here with huge chances for one of the biggest upsets of the tournament so far, easily the biggest upset. Hello, Daniel. No, I'm not playing. I am the official commentator, so I of course cannot play. If I did, of course, I would easily clean up against some of these fools. I'm sure, but luckily for them, I am in the commentarial role for this event. Okay, rook c7 from Christopher. But now, if Zoe wants to, she could play rook d8, rook b6, rook d6, and force off a pair of rooks. And after that, black is going to have to figure something out because this is the problem. This is the problem. Once the rooks get traded off, it's going to be easier for white to start pushing the queenside pawns. Okay, rook c7, bishop to c6 played. Oh, bishop c6. Uh-oh, even better. Zoe has freed the bishop finally from b5. Now b5 is coming with the pawn and then a5. Guys, this one is actually close to just being over. This is simply over. Like, white's completely figured out the coordination of the rooks and of the bishop, and now the pawns are ready to roll. a5 is a threat. b5 is a threat. How is black stopping any of these pawns? Rook a7 would stop b5, but white can push a5. And then continue to make progress from, bishop to d7 or something, figure out a way to transfer the bishop over, then a6, then b5, and these pawns are running. So Zoe here, great chances to pull off huge upset. I think she's winning, guys. I think she's winning. I mean, actually, with this move, she's showing that, like, she clearly understands what the plan is. Now that, like, as black was, like, it looked really hard for white to unravel, but now finally she's managed. Would it have made sense to sack the exchange for one of the queenside pawns? One, I think it wouldn't be enough. I think if he could give up a rook for bishop and 2 pawns, he does that, easily, hands down. But for just 1 pawn, it wouldn't be enough, because then white would still have that outside pass pawn. So I think white would still be having decisive advantage. Now, time is still a problem. Zoe only has 1 minute left, but she's been playing on the increment actually for some time here, and she's actually handled the endgame very, very well. And in general, she is a very, very good player on the increment. She's used to playing on the increment. She's played a lot of these U.S. Women's Championships, U.S. Girls Junior Championships, so she's used to handling the increment. She's a professional player. And I think the endgame has actually gotten easier for white to play instead of harder. So the trend is in her favor. Okay, rook to b6. Yeah, inducing b5 here. And now I guess he wants to go rook to a7, because now white has a huge threat to play a5. I mean, the pawns are just rolling up the board. Rook a7 most likely, but that's just a blockade. It's like, okay, a blockade is one thing, but a blockade, as my coach once taught me, is not everything, right? You can put the rook on a5, but then white is just going to bring the king over to b4 and eventually break the blockade. That's the issue. Like, you can use your pieces to stop the pawns, but then your pieces aren't active, and white's king is free to just run to b4. Okay, she goes rook to b4. Excuse me. Possibly time pressure move just to keep everything protected, because she's not really threatening anything with this one, but she also opens up the route for her king to head to c5 here. So king f2 all the way to c5. Okay, but Christopher introduces a threat. Bishop f5, bishop c2. So I'm expecting rook to d2 here. Maybe even over to a2. I guess she can also always put the rook on d4, so it's not such a huge threat, in fact. So if she wants, she can play king f2 still and just start running the king over. The other thing is, guys, even if black manages to win 1 pawn, it might not even be enough. Like, you give up 1 pawn, the king gets to c5, you lose the game, because the b pawn is still going to cost you material. But here I think white goes rook to d4, takes a timeout, puts the rook on c4, king e3, king d4, king to c5, and yeah, the dark squares here just aren't holding for black. So I think this is totally winning for white, and I think she's going to be able to handle it on the increment, because it's position is clarifying, and also just like, look at the quality of the moves. Look at the move Zoe just played, guys. Rook to d8. So bishop c2, she's calculated that she has rook a8, defending the pawn from afar, and offering the rook trade, which is again good for white. If the rooks come off, then a5 comes. Let's say bishop to d3 to attack the pawn, bishop to c6, and then a5, black can resign. It's just resignable position here. So not only has she been handling the increment well, she's finding good moves. A lot of players, when they play on 30-second increments, present company included, we just try to find a move that doesn't blunder anything, and it's like very panicky. Here, she's not only finding moves that don't blunder, she's actively finding good moves with tactics and improving her position. Now rook a, like, she's just converting this one. This is just a classic, like, chess dojo endgame sparring, easy conversion. Rook a8, a5. I think Christopher might resign here in a couple of moves. I think actually he's just going down. It's just really over. I mean, it's just 2 pass pawns protected with a monster bishop. You know, the rating is not going to save Christopher, unfortunately, in this one. Zoe just played heck of an endgame here. To win. I think she's winning. We'll check in on the other games here soon, but yeah, maybe we'll just keep an eye on this one. Let's go to board 1. Board 1, we had rook a7, rook c8, queen a3, bishop d3 here for black, and now Zhao Jinchao, he's trying to figure out how to proceed here. So bishop to d3, black is fighting back. He's attacking the pawn on b5, but he's under some heavy pins here. So if I was white, I feel like my first job would be to play h3, create a square for the king, and threaten stuff like rook takes d7. So like h3, for example, if black takes here. Oh, he's defending this one. Okay, so then rook d7, bishop d7. And white's not winning material. Maybe we still have bishop c3. But isn't bishop c3 possible right now? Why not bishop c3 here? Isn't this winning? Black wants bishop takes b5, bishop takes b4, queen takes b4, queen takes b4, rook c1 check. Knight f1, rook takes f1, checkmate. Good game. Thank you very much. See you next time. Okay, so bishop c3, bishop takes b5 is black's trick of the season. But let's say here, and then white protects the back rank. Isn't the knight still pinned? I guess he's counting on something like knight to d5. Wow, very, very, I mean, everything is hanging on just by a thread here. Takes. And everything is just barely defended in black's position. Okay, so big moment here for white. He has to figure out how to deal with bishop d3 and bishop takes b5. Feels like there should be something, even like rook a4, rook takes b4. But again, we have the same trick. Rook a4 takes, rook takes b4, queen takes b4. Queen takes b4, rook c1 check. Knight f1, rook takes f1 mate. Good game. Thank you very much. Thank you for playing. See you next time. So bishop d3 posing some problems. Here for white. Maybe bishop c6. But then knight c6. Take back. But queen a3. Rook takes a3, rook takes c6. But rook takes d3. So this one is working for white. So bishop c6. Yes, very interesting move. Yeah, so if knight takes, pawn takes, and then too many pieces hanging in black's position. Okay, 11 seconds for Zoe. Let me jump back here. What's going on? Oh, and Christopher sacrificed the exchange here, guys. So let's see what happened. Rook d8, rook c7, rook d4, getting out of the rook takes c6 threat. Black just takes here anyway. Yeah, because now a5 is happening, and so black is going to be forced to give material one way or the other. So he decides to do it right away. Takes, pushes a5, rook comes down to c3. At least get some activity here. Rook a4, bishop c2. And now white is choosing between rook a1, rook a2. 2 seconds for Zoe. Okay, rook a2 played. Why not rook a1? Not sure, but okay. Bishop b3 is not a problem. She's going to pin the bishop with rook a3. So actually this one makes sense because she's kind of putting pressure here and tying black's rook down. Can go rook to d2, but really she just wants to play a6. In fact, she could play a6 right now if she wanted to. She doesn't need to. I think you just go rook a1 here. But rook a1, bishop to e4. It's a bit of a problem. But you could, I think you could have gone a6, takes a7. But then maybe you're not sure if you're winning this endgame as white. Yeah, actually, I would be totally unsure about this one because our pawns are broken up. Probably a draw, in fact. Okay, so we don't want that. So rook a1, bishop e4 played. Only move, you got to create some counterplay and put the bishop on this strong diagonal. Now rook to f1, I'm expecting. And, you know, it's still... It's not easy here for white. Oh, a6. A6, of course. Yes, what I'm talking about. A6. Zoe knows what she's doing here. Zoe knows. Yeah, because rook f1, rook a3. Then it gets very difficult. You might not be winning this anymore as white. So a6, rook takes f3, check, king h2. And now the a-pawn is just running. And this is going to cost black a full bishop. He can maybe take on f4, maybe on h4, but that's not enough for the rook. So white seems to be winning this one. Rook f2 check. I think either way here is good. Check here. Goes here. And then rook would just move somewhere. Let's say rook a5. And yeah, there's not enough counterplay with the rook and bishop in this one. So Zoe Tang about to pull off a huge upset here in round 2 of National Open. Okay, rook f2 check. I think you could also, well, if you come up this way, rook f3 check, and you're just repeating moves. You definitely don't want to come up this way and get checkmated a million different ways. Or like this. Or like this. Or like this. Okay, so lots of mates. So king g1 played. Rook g2, king f1. And if rook takes f4, just a7. White doesn't care about these pawns. Takes, queen. Takes. And yeah, black is not going to... well, I feel like this should be winning this endgame here, but like this would still actually take some work. But probably it's winning. Like you put the rook on a7 and then you bring this rook over to f2, and yeah, if black trades rooks, then it's over. If they don't trade rooks, you're taking on it. Yeah, probably should be winning. So rook g2 check, king f1. Now rook h2 may be one last trick, but all white needs to do is save the rook from a1. Okay, goes rook to g4. So he's going for these pawns, but I think just a7 now for Zoe. And she's likely winning this one. Any interesting instructive games from previous rounds? You know, there's just the first round last night, and there's definitely some nice games if you check out some of the top boards. I think Christopher had a pretty easy game actually in round 1, if I remember correctly. But yeah, definitely some good games there. You could check out from the tournament. You can find it at chess.com, Chess, and so on. Okay, we're expecting a7 here from Zoe. Because also, what else? What else if not a7? We're not saving these pawns on the king side. Maybe there's an argument to be made for like throwing in h5 to try and give the pawns under the best possible circumstances. But I don't know. Rook a4 would be cool if it worked. Sure, rook a4 trying to like kind of pin the bishop. I think a7. But yeah, h5 is maybe what she's thinking about, because like you give up the pawn, but you force black to double, and then it's like, then it's much harder for black to get counterplay. Okay, she does go rook a4. So on rook takes f4, She's just going to pin this bishop. Wow, so Zoe really playing for like maximum tactics here. Rook a4. Rook a4 is a heck of a move if this is working. And we had that in the chat, huh? Random 1200 ELO guy. So what's the idea here? Rook takes f4 check. She moves the king, and now black is kind of pinned up. And now it's like a7, a8. How do you deal with this? How do you get out of the pin here if you're black? I guess takes. a7. You can still do this and like save the bishop. So I don't know if we're getting such a different endgame than before. But maybe she has something else up her sleeve. Let's see what happens here. Okay, takes played. And king g1. She puts the king on g1. Maybe she's going to exchange sec. Yeah, actually, I think that's her idea with the king on g1. What she's trying to do is to set up rook takes e4 first, and then a7. And then you're going to get rook versus 3 pawns, and your king is in prime position. This should be pretty easy win for white, because black's pawns aren't far enough at all. So rook g4 check, king f2, rook g2 check. So Christopher gets off of the 4th rank. Because, yeah, if takes here, then just like a7. You don't even need to take. Black is just totally stuck. So rook to g2. He gets his rook out of the pin. Now maybe king f1 to stay tagging the rook. King e3 also possible. Bishop c6, a7. And here black hasn't managed to win the 3rd pawn even. So this would be very, very easy for white. But check king f1. I think this is even better because now it's like black has to worry about the rook on g2 as well. So bishop c6, a7 coming here for sure. But a7, rook h2, and then promotes. Takes, and then rook d takes. And then it's only 2 pawns for the rook. It's completely game over. Completely game over. a7 here. a7, I think it's just resigns. a7, is there any tricks? No, there's no tricks, guys. a7. And there's just nothing. There's just nothing. There's like not even a move here. Okay, rook to b2, but yeah, just promote now. Just promote. And I mean, black doesn't have enough. 2 pawns for the rook. Is this in person? Yes, this is a live OTB tournament, one of the biggest tournaments in the US every year, called the National Open, part of the Vegas Chess Festival. And 8 equals queen, bishop takes 8. And I think Christopher has done well in this tournament before. He might even be a previous champion. So bishop takes. Now either rook can take. I would probably take with this rook, I think, just to keep my 4th rank covered. And then white should be able to slowly convert this one just by piling up on the f7 pawn, converging on that one. So it takes. Maybe Christopher fights on a little bit longer here, but I think it's over. I think it's just completely over here. The hard part is absolutely done. Okay, let's jump to another game. Wow, Zhao Jinchao, guys. We saw him in this position, bishop d3. He had 16 minutes when bishop d3 was played. He's been thinking the whole time. He's now under his opponent. This is board 1, by the way. And Grandmaster is going down to 4 minutes along with his opponent. Let's see how he plans on converting this one. Now, there is a lot of tactics in this position because these knights are hanging for black, but there's also the issue of the back rank. So bishop c3, for example, we spotted this trick. Bishop b4, queen takes b4. And then rook c1 check, and rook takes f1, checkmate. So that's not possible. Bishop c6 was in the air, But for some reason, he hasn't played this one. Knight c6, even dc, I think is nice for white here. But yeah, also we could take on e7 and then take on d7. Though, no, this one actually not working. Yeah, rook c1 check at the end. But here, dc6, I think we discovered this was good for white because we're hitting the knight, hitting the queen. If queen takes a3, we have rook takes a3. And black again has 2 pieces under attack and losing. But 3 minutes here for Zhao. He hasn't played a move here. Bishop c6, I actually don't see what his issue is. Maybe, what's this problem with bishop c6? Oh, knight c6 takes and then rook takes. Ah, that's the issue. And again, we have back rank. Queen e7, rook c1 check. Knight f1, rook takes f1. Thank you for playing. Good game. Dang. So there's just back rank tricks up the wazoo here for white. But also the b5 pawn is hanging. So you can't just play. I would have just played h3 like a chump. But then bishop takes b5. And what are you doing there? So he spent all of his time. Somehow he really underestimated this counterplay with rook c8 and bishop to d3. And before rook a7, perhaps, he really needed to... I liked rook a7, but somewhere he really needed to take a timeout with h3 or g3. Maybe in this position he should have played h3 instead of queen a3. I'm not really sure. But now he has less than 2 minutes here to figure it out. And this is a big problem. He's just been tanking this whole time. Maybe it's a DGT error. Maybe we just haven't picked up the rest of the moves. Now I'm not sure. So it could be DGT thing. So maybe we'll come back to this one, because I feel like he probably did find the move by now. Okay, board 2, Christopher, he is likely losing this one. Board 3, we had Matvishyn with the exchange sacrifice. This was actually a very interesting game, where black sacrificed the exchange, knight to b5, bishop c3 played, queen d4 check, king h1, queen takes d6, d4 played. So white is just trying to free himself a little bit by giving up a pawn. Bishop takes d4, knight c4, queen f6, but now bishop to g4, rook to d8. Black just having tremendous compensation, h5, h4, and this is the live position. So black has this dark squared bishop for the rook, but knight on b5 is super strong, holding everything together, and we have the h-file counterplay as well. So this one actually I think is just going really, really well in black's favor. I think black is actually just cruising here. Just tons of compensated pieces are so strong. Is this the official commentary channel for the event? Indeed it is. We did this last year, and yeah, we are back again for this year. G4 played, so we'll be covering all the rounds from here on out, starting with this round 2 until the end of the tournament Sunday evening, round 9. Okay, G4 played. White is not ready to go down without a fight. Makes sense. Maybe he wants to play like G5, Queen F5, Bishop to G4, this kind of thing. That would be trapping black's queen, in fact, right now. So, but black has some potential himself. Oh, he goes Bishop takes E5. Wait, what's going on? He captures? What's happening here? If pawn takes pawn? Or pawn takes knight, then what does he want? Queen. Where is queen going? Where's queen going? Queen e7 maybe. And if rook takes d8, bishop takes f4 tempo, but then queen to d1. Oh, this is getting very sharp. Bishop takes e5. If rook takes d8 here, maybe he just recaptures, and he's just playing against the weaknesses in white's position, yeah, like queen to d4. And now queen is coming to f2. This is hanging everything under pressure. Knight on b5 is ready to jump in. So very interesting decision now to take on e5 at this moment. I thought his dark square bishop is kind of the pride of black's position, but he gives it up, destabilizing white's situation. Very instructive, actually, how he's playing this one. And now white's position here looks to be in trouble. Okay, we got a move from Zhao Jinchao. What did he do? Finally, he went rook a8. After all that time, he found the safest move in the position to trade off black's rook, which was causing all these back rank issues. Takes, queen to f8, queen a4 back. And he defends the b pawn. Nice. So he found a way to kind of keep the pressure. I don't think he wanted to trade rooks necessarily, but it looks like he had no other option. But keeps the pressure. He keeps the pawn on b5 defended. Now knight on b4 is, again, a target. Still has bishop c3 in the air, bishop to c6. And black is still experiencing some difficulties here. So Grandmaster found a way to keep the pressure. Okay, Matveshin. So we saw rook takes, no, we saw g5. Oh, it throws g5 in. Very nice. Queen has to keep defense with the rook. Rook takes d8, queen takes d8, rook takes e5. So now we have this position. Black is still down the exchange, but a lot of compensation. White has a lot of weaknesses here. Queen to d3. But I guess white is always meeting this one perhaps with rook e3 or queen e3. So this one, not so easy. Not so easy, lemon squeezy. Okay, but Matveshin, he's gonna try to and swindle this one somehow. Somehow he has to try to get his queen active. Maybe queen d4. Queen d4 perhaps, looking for queen f2. If queen e3, he can give check. He's got h3 check, and he can maybe take on a3 with a very strong passer. So queen d3. But now what does he want on rook e3? How is he gonna deal with rook e3? Somehow he's gonna have to find a square. Maybe just queen f5 and just kind of keep the position. You know, dynamically it looks very complicated. Okay, now he goes queen d4. You know, computer might think white is better here. I would actually be surprised if that was the case. I think black is just totally fine. But yeah, practically it's difficult here for white because you just have so many weaknesses you have to defend, and black is very solid. And yeah, you're just kind of on the back foot as white. Everything is very passive here. Now queen d4. How do you defend the f pawn? Maybe rook e2. But then, yeah, black continues. Black continues. So this one is very interesting. This one could go either way. Board 1, queen a4, knight c2, 15 seconds for Zhao. What's the issue here? Knight c2 is attacking his bishop. He goes bishop c6. He says, go ahead and take. I will recapture with the queen, and everything is hanging, so that's not a threat. Bishop c6, very tempting move. Hitting the knight on d7 and threatening b pawn as well here. So how is black going to deal with this one? Uh-oh. This is starting to fall apart a little bit for black. Zoe, I think, converting. Zoe's still converting. Board 4, by the way, this one is basically over. We had this really nice sacrifice here by Grandmaster Praneeth Vupala. Rook takes e6. Black could not take. His position was collapsing there, losing all kinds of material. But now king g7, rook e7, and white was able to kind of slowly break through. Heavy piece endgames, guys, is all about the king safety, is white showing here. He was down a pawn earlier, it doesn't matter. It's all about the king safety. Rook h3 now. Oh, beautiful move, threatening mates. King is out for a run. Rook e3 wins the queen, and yeah, now of course it's all over. Black can resign any move now. Zoe here, she's also on the verge of converting. Rook to b6. Okay, she can start taking pawns now on f7, for example. Then h7. I guess, you know, we don't really talk about the endgame 2 rooks versus rook that much, but yeah, it's probably not a very difficult endgame to convert, most likely. So Christopher Yu going down on board 2, biggest upset of the tournament thus far. Let's go to board 1. Knight takes d4, pawn takes d4 played, and then knight f6. Wait, pawn takes d4. Guys, why not queen takes d4? Ah, knight c5, of course. Defending both pieces, very solid. So pawn takes d4, dominating the knight. Knight goes to f6. And now I wonder if he's looking for some queen a7, queen a6 play going after this b pawn. But white also has to be careful about his back rank. Let's say h5, queen takes b6, queen to b4. And white is going to be facing some massive counterplay here. So still a lot of tactics left in this one, and they're relying on the increment. Knight f6. Okay, queen b3 played, a bit cheeky move, hitting the bishop and setting up knight to c4. Bishop f5, knight c4 coming. But knight c4, black can still defend with queen to d8. So is Grandmaster going to be able to convert this one? I'm not so sure, guys. I'm actually not so sure. Knight c4, queen to d8. It still looks kind of nice for white. It still looks kind of nice, but black is very solid. He's got d5 here, knight d5 coming. So it feels like black is hanging on here. If he can survive the pressure from the GM, he should be okay. D-pawn is also hanging, so white has to defend the d-pawn right now. It's not so easy for white to, like, if he can get queen a3, queen a7, and that's great, but in the meantime, he's dropping d4. So right now, d4 pawn is kind of a target. I guess he has queen a3 here. If queen takes d4, queen a8 is winning, back rank. Queen a3 played. Okay, so maybe this is still very concrete. Black needs to fix the back rank, I would say, right now. Both players really need to. So h5 here, I'm expecting. Maybe h6. Cemento. But then what does he want to do? Maybe queen d6? Is this his dastardly plan, guys? h6, queen d6. Try to go for endgame. Knight d5, snap. Snap. Oh, but there's no knight c8. There's no knight c8, guys. Bishop takes c8. But anyways, even if there was, bishop to d3, knight b6, knight d5. Yeah, you get extra pawn. But here, bishop takes. So here we're not winning. So wait, but this one is hanging. Sorry, bishop is hanging on f5. Okay, we're blundering all kinds of stuff. Okay, knight d5. What are we talking about, guys? What are we talking about? Is chat awake? Is chat awake? Is chat alive? So knight d6. Bishop goes somewhere, but then knight c8. So this is kind of what we're looking at. And then white would have very healthy extra pawn and very, very decent winning chances. I think he would be really happy with this. I think he'd be really happy with this if he can get that. So queen a3, h6. Now I think queen d6 is on the cards. Boom. There it is. Bang. Drives up the middle with queen to d6. Queen takes d6, knight takes d6. And then knight c8, knight takes b6 is happening. If he doesn't trade, he's kind of letting white dominate him a little bit. Yeah, he doesn't really have a choice. Queen c8, knight is taking on b6. So he might have tricked his opponent into his endgame. He might have gotten into a nice endgame here as the Grandmaster. So this one looks like Zhao Jinchao is going to squeeze out on the increment and move to 2 points as well. So far, a couple players on 2 points. We have Liam Putnam. We have Grandmaster Praneeth Vupala. Madvish in this game, of course, still very, very double-edged. We'll see how this one plays out. I think Zoe is going to pull off the upset of the tournament so far and take down Christopher. Speaking of pleasant endgames, this is about as pleasant as it can get. Extra rook. So definitely amazing chances here for Zoe. And then queen d6, queen f8 played, which is hard to understand because takes and knight takes b6. And this is just, I think this is just winning for white now. It's just outside pass pawn, extra pass pawn, extra pawn, pass pawn, outside pass pawn. How many labels can we say here? It's just winning for white. I don't know what this queen f8 was. I think he should have at least taken here and then tried to figure something out, but knight c8 is coming. So maybe it was just hopeless position already for black. So, wow. After this, queen b3 is such a smart plan. Knight c4. This whole thing he set up with like bishop c6, e d4, queen to b3, knight c4, and now queen d8, queen a3, and black gets totally hoodwinked here. He's trying to bring the king back, which I think definitely very, very good try. But there's knight c8 check, knight to d6. There's knight c4 here as well. And his b pawn, I think, is just too strong. I think it should be a win for white. I think it should be a win. Knight c8 check is interesting. King d8, knight to d6. Attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn, bishop to g6. And then white gets b6. And he doesn't have to rush with b7, but yeah, he's kind of in control. But I don't think it's the only way to play. I think knight c4 also possible here. Whoa, look at this, guys. Board 3, we got queen d4, f5 on the board. f5. Wow, what a move. White decides he doesn't want to defend this pawn any longer. But what is his idea? If bishop takes f5? He's just giving the pawn? Canty with the win. Oh, guys, we got to jump to Canty. We got to jump to Canty. What is going on here? Wait, here, I don't see the game over yet, but let's see. So, okay, there's some craziness. Knight f4, rook e5, rook takes d4. Tactics up the wazoo here. But he just upped the rook. He just upped a rook here. Yeah, no, it's over. I mean, white, I don't know what happened, but it looks like white just sacrificed kind of too much material here. He found very nice counter. d4, rook takes d4. And then he can't take because queen takes c2 is mate. So white tried everything here, but ends up just down a rook. And this is, yeah, I mean, this is just winning endgame. Rook d8 coming and just rook down. Rook down. Rook and bishop against bishop, way too strong. So Canty, guys, off to a fantastic start. He drew his first round against Grandmaster. Now he's beating IM with black. Already 100% on the norm hunt is James Canty. So huge chances for his norm perspectives. Both IM and GM norm. At this point, he's on track for a GM norm. But okay, it's very, very early, guys. It's only 2 rounds. But he already drew Grandmaster and he beat International Master with black. So as far as the result is concerned, basically ideal. E4, okay, there was no rook d8 winning yet just because c3 was still there. But yeah, you don't really save this kind of endgame with opposite color bishops. The rook is just too strong. It's going to come around and, yeah, attack too many things. Wow. So go Canty. Does Canty have any norms already? You know, someone in chat might know better than me. I think he might have an IM norm. I think, maybe 2, but I don't really know for sure. Let's check in with the other streamer. We have Zach playing as well, the chess nerd. And this was an interesting one. Let me just pull it back. This was the Caro Kann we had, if you guys remember. We had knight e5, bishop h7 check, takes here, queen takes b7. So he ended up with extra pawn here. Another heavy piece endgame. And let's see how the chess nerd handled this one. g5, nice. Rook c3, takes on f6, rook f1, queen e2, queen h5 check, queen h7, queen takes a7, b4 now. And queen back to f2. So he's just running circles around this game. Look at this. Queen h7 takes here. Looks completely winning for white. Like black's king is just way too exposed. White has passed pawns both sides of the board. So there's only so long you can defend this position as black. Now he does have some counterplay with the central pawns, but the king I think is just too weak, and at a certain point eventually white should be able to kind of break through and create some devastating chances. Maybe rook to c1, maybe there's some b6 somewhere. I would play h3 quickly here just to get my lift going. But yeah, great chances for Zach to pick up his first win of the event. Let's see, Canty, b3 takes, king e6, c4, bishop g2. Okay, yeah, he's gonna convert this easily. No way white gets enough counterplay here. Bishop is too strong. King is walking in. So go James. He's gonna be on 1.5 out of 2. By the way, this game, guys, Enrico against Bodan, ended up in a draw. I was calling this one as potentially the game of the round, with Enrico being a great player. Very underrated. And it looks like they had a very fighting game. Which ended up in some kind of rook endgame draw. They had repetition here. With black being pawn up, but not really having a great way of continuing, because if he, let's say, keeps going with the rook, he has to deal with the c-pawn, which would be very, very dangerous. And Yu has resigned, so it's over. Zoe Tang with a huge win on board 2, upsetting Christopher Yu in this endgame where she had the extra rook here. After rook to d4, Christopher decided he had enough. Now white can start swinging. I mean, first she can play rook d6 if she wants to pick up the g-pawn. Then she can swing the rooks over and play for mate. And yeah, just no chance. Black is saving this one. So great win for Zoe Tang. She is off to 2 points. She won her first game, I think, playing down, and now scores huge upset over the second seed in the event. So she is well on her way. Definitely now in the norm hunt is Zoe. Wow, so great result for her. Okay, board 1. Zhao, I think, is converting this endgame. So we had knight c8 check, knight d6, bishop g6, pushes b, knight d7, exchanges this one, simplifying down, very instructive, and now just b7. Oh, beautiful, delicate play. King to c7, knight on d6 is untouchable, pawn on b7 is untouchable. Now he goes f4 with the intention to just bring in his king, g4, f5. I think it's hopeless for black. f6. Because, like, how do you if you can get the bishop back to take the pawn, that'd be great. But how do you do it? Bishop e8, the bishop is just dominated. So I'm not sure why. Okay, actually, I see the plan. Bishop d3, bishop a6. So black didn't do this last turn because then he'd have to give up this pawn eventually. And king takes, knight d8 check. It's 2 pawns, and now it's 3 pawns, and so this would be hopeless. So black starts with f6. So on king f2, he wants bishop d3. King e3, bishop a6, and still not over. But white does have knight e8 check. And knight takes g7. So minimum, he's going to be up a pawn here. Knight versus bishop, all the pawns on one side of the board. I think this is a win for white. Now he has knight e8 as a threat, going after these pawns. I think it's a win. Yeah, exactly. So g4. Okay, he plays like this. So maybe even better, actually, because here bishop d3, maybe knight e8 check right away. Takes here, and then, yeah, he's coming back around to this one. Okay, bishop e5 is still there, but then king f2, king g3, king h4, king h5, king takes h6. So he couldn't win on the king side like this with his knight against bishop. So this one looking good for the top seed. Let's jump to board 3. Board 3, this was a wild game with Matveshin. Down the exchange, but making a mess of the situation. f5 took with the pawn for some reason. I'm not sure why bishop didn't take. There was something he didn't like. Hard to say. Queen c5. Maybe this was the problem. He goes queen f4. Bishop drops back. Now black to play here. He can grab another pawn with queen takes g5. To me, it looks like, yeah, his knight on b5 is so strong. Just practically very difficult position for white to handle here. So looks like, I mean, it's very complicated, but I feel like Matvishyn has good chances here. In practice, I would definitely take black. Oh, let's go back to board 1. So this did happen. G4, bishop d3. He does give check. Takes. He takes on g7. And now we'll see if white is able to convert this endgame. Extra pawn, knight versus bishop. King can run quickly to d5, but problem for black is that he has to deal with knight e8. So king c6, knight e8, for example. f5, then g5. And I think white's g-pawn is very, very strong. h4, h5, g6, etc., and promoting. But maybe king d5. Knight takes f6. King takes d4. King f2. I would think white is still in control here. He's recovering this one, this one, this one. Knight g8 is there, and h-pawn is a goner. You can also go h4, g5, and win with the king side pass pawn. So I think Zhao is in very good control here. Takes here. Oh, there's also knight e6. Oh, okay, you can take on e6 too. I thought knight e8, nice subtle way to play. No, knight takes e6. Knight takes e6 is there. And now if king d5, then just f5. Cemento. Everything is defended, and white is just 2 pawns up. Just 2 pawns up for white. So bishop e2, but just h3. Very simple move. No time spent on that one, and I think it's over. King d5, f5. King d5, f5. And yeah. So Zhao should be moving on to 2 points. Let's go back to board 3. Let's see what was happening here. So queen f4, bishop d2, queen takes g5, rook to e1. White hopes to reposition the rook, but he is... okay, it's a trick of the season, guys. Knight takes a3, queen c3 check with the double attack. So black is not going to fall for that one. Maybe also should be worried about some rook to g1 stuff. So if I'm black, I'm going to try to find a safe square for the king. Maybe king h7? Maybe king h7 here, and then trying to take on a3. Very double-edged position. Black has a knight and 3 pawns for the rook. They're not the healthiest pawns, but there are 3 of them. Dynamically, I wouldn't be surprised if the position was balanced. Computer says equal, draw with best play, but so hard to, I think, play this position from either side. Always got to watch out for the rook sack and perpetual. Yeah, rook takes c6 for sure, I think, is in the air. I think this is something white is always looking for as a kind of bailout if he can. So black has to be careful. Like if he goes too far, like queen d2, then maybe rook takes e6. Now rook e6 might be a thing. Why not rook takes e6 now and then queen e7 check? Black would be kind of forced to come up, but this is a lot of checks for white. I think this is not easy for black to get out of this one. Queen g5. Check. If here, there's here, and white wins. So king f4. And then this one's covered. This one's covered. And time as well is spicy. Okay, knight covers everything. So rook g1 played instead, and king f6. Black quickly gets off of the g file. I think rook takes c6 was interesting, but I'm not sure if white actually has a perpetual check or not. Maybe he did actually. Queen e2. Queen e2, queen e7. Yeah, I think this was a draw, guys. I think this was a draw. Here, we'll quickly check with the engine because we're running out of time, but I think he was drawing. Yeah, rook takes e6 was the draw. Yeah, we called it with chat. Rook g1, it seems not bad, but yeah, queen e7, and this was perpetual with best play. Exactly as we called it. Queen e2 and queen e7, like that. Wow. 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 Okay, so let me turn this off. So rook g1. I mean, I'm presuming white is happy with the draw, because at this point it's very risky. He has rook against knight and 3 pawns. So king f6, queen f8 played. Oh, maybe he's playing for a win. Queen d4. Nice centralization. Queen is defended. Bishop f3. Oh, and white is playing for some dangerous attacking chances here. But does he actually have any threats? I feel like black's king is always walking away. Now he cannot take here because queen h8 check picks up the queen. But maybe some queen e3, queen f4. Very, very double-edged position, guys. Very double-edged. And 1 minute for Matvician to find the move here. 1 minute. Does he go h3? But then this pawn gets picked up with checks. So I'm not sure at all. Guys, I'm not sure at all. B6 played. Oh, wow. He comes up with B6. What a move. What a move. I mean, perhaps he's trying to run the c-pawn. Try to get past c-pawn. He's also saying if bishop takes c6, bishop d5 check is going to hurt you. Queen d5, rook g2, then h3. I guess there's still this one, but minimum he has the perpetual. Okay, rook to d1. White doesn't take the bait. I think he could have taken, actually. I don't think... but no. I think on takes, what he would do is he would just keep the pin and just play something like knight d4, you know, just like start playing with the knight. So this could be knight c3. This could be very dangerous for white with be hard to play with the rook on g2. So he goes rook d1 first, which is a better move because now maybe he can take and then there's no bishop d5. So Matvician has to be careful. Don't go queen e5, queen h8 check. Black has to be extremely precise here. Queen c4, queen c3 maybe. 2 seconds, he has to find the move. Queen f2. Queen f2 played in the nick of time. But now what does he want on bishop takes c6? What does he want here? Knight d4, knight c3? There's still queen h8 check in the position and queen takes c3. So this could easily go very wrong for black in a heartbeat. So bishop takes c6, knight d4, queen h8 check again. And he's picking up the knight. That's game over. So bishop c6, knight takes a3. Maybe he just has to grab this one, hope for the best. But then at least white can grab the a-pawn, and then I don't think white should be risking here at all. I mean, he might even have now like winning attack here. Hold on, queen d8 check and like rook to g1 just looks like lights out. Does it not? So queen f2, bishop takes c6. Or queen d8 check right away, actually. He has queen d8 right now. He has queen d8 right now. He has queen h8 as well. Queen h8, yeah, if you go this way, queen d8 is mates. Oh, this looks terrible. I mean, he would come out, though. At least in this case, he would come out. Like king g5, king f4. And that's hard to judge because he's going to hit the bishop. But there's a lot to calculate here for white. Maybe this one. King e5. Amazingly, there's no mate. But like bishop takes c6, knight is hit. Knight can't really move so easily now. A lot of choices here for white. I like queen d8 because like if you run to the g file, it feels like you're for sure getting mated here. For sure. And then some. Twice mated. So this one, very, very wrong for Matvician. I feel like he had control, but somehow he let the queen get in. And then this got very, very difficult to defend all of a sudden. Very, very difficult. But bishop takes c6. And what is his idea on bishop takes c6 even? Okay, white gives check. Also possible. Now he has to make a choice. I don't think he can go to the G file. He has to go king E5. Okay, queen B8 check. Repeating once. Now king has to go back to F6. Now white has a draw if he wants it. I don't know why he put the queen on B8 unless he was going to repeat. I thought I didn't really see a move here after bishop takes. This looked really bad because if the knight leaves, if it goes to A3, then it's like this one just looks like terrible. Okay, there's still this, but still feels like queen H8. Feels like you're very, very close. So check, queen H8, king to G5 now. Okay, goes to it's the H8. So king to G5. Black's king is still surviving. King is heading to F4. This one I didn't see the potential so easily. Maybe bishop takes C6 now. What's going on in this one? Bishop takes C6, and how does black... Black needs a good square for the knight. Knight takes A3. Now it feels like you're getting attacked too easily. Wow, this one can really go either way. Yeah, I'm not sure if repeating was the right call, but probably not a huge deal there. But yeah, this one is very, very spicy. We could be seeing second huge upset. Zhao did win, by the way, guys. Board 1, our top seed. Just 2 pawns up, so yeah, easy win there. And so we are basically down to board 3. And bishop takes C6 played, yeah. And what does Matvishyn have here after bishop takes C6? I feel like his king is scattered, his pieces are scattered. He's down the exchange. White's rook is strong. White has a strong rook. Okay, knight takes A3. Only chance, I guess. But now even like queen to E5 looks tempting, just like centralizing the queen and starting to hunt down this king. No, I think this is completely winning for white. I don't think black's king is supposed to survive this. I don't think black's king is supposed to survive this at all. Queen G7 check? Yeah, king F4, rook D4. Game over. Game over. You have to give up the queen. Queen G7. Well, whoops. If king H5, then rook to G1. You're getting mated on the H file. No, this one's over. I think Matvishyn, he spoiled this one. Yeah, king F4, rook to D4. And that's it. It's curtains. If king E3, queen E5 is mate. Checkmate, guys. The king can't move. And there's no way to block the check, and there's no way to take the queen. That's it. He resigned. He resigned. So I think the young junior, Harshan Reddy, pulls off the upset. Very double-edged game. I think black was doing well here, but ultimately it was the time trouble that got to him. He let things get out of control, and all of a sudden, white had this powerful attack. So look at this, guys. Our top 5 boards, white wins every game. White wins every game. Where is Andras Adrian? Where is Adrian? Black is not okay. It's time for a new book. Dang, white wins every game. Top 5 boards. Wow. Let me check in with our other streamer of the round, Zachary Sane, the chess nerd. Hold on, he sacrificed his queen, guys. What happened here? Queen H8 check. He goes queen B8. Rook E8. Guys, was this intentional? Queen B8, rook E8. Oh, no. Guys, where is the queen supposed to go? He takes here. He pushes. But no, this isn't enough. Well, maybe. I don't know. A6. I mean, black's pawns I thought are strong too, but let's just see what happens. So a6, queen b8. Oh, queen b8. He doesn't take this one because then white actually wins here. White actually wins here, believe it or not. But he drops back, and now he's got the full blockade. What is this endgame? King e6? What is this endgame? I think it's still good for black, though. I feel like these pawns are... Actually, I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, I don't know, because black's pieces are now so passive. White could be better here. Who's better and why? That was definitely a blunder to allow this, but now, I mean, I don't know. I think it's like not so easy to play this position. Yeah, like white's just improving the king, g3, king g2, h4. Queen is stuck, rook is stuck. So you can't take here because rook a6, maybe e3 or f5. Wow, very crazy endgame, guys. Very wild endgame. I gotta say, I have no idea what's happening here. I got no idea what's happening here. I don't know if you guys know, but I certainly do not know. And by the way, guys, 2 rounds per day in this tournament. So it's like 5:20 p.m. right now, local time. Next round, 6:30 p.m. So after they finish this endgame, they're going to have to play again at 6:30 p.m. Another full chess game. That's 2 rounds per day for you. Welcome to United States chess. Okay, e3 from black. Yeah, my thought was that black should be like doing well, but I don't know. Okay, king g2 now. And like white's king can stop the pawns. White's king can stop the pawns, right? So it's not like if black could force one of white's rooks off, then that would be good, especially, the a rook. But here actually, like, the reason I think this could go well for white is like this rook can still move. This rook can still move. So this could turn very, very sour for black all of a sudden. Okay, wait, he takes on d4? Did he find something? This doesn't look right because he's just allowing rook takes a6 now. Does he want rook to d8? No, rook d8 doesn't work. Rook takes a6. Maybe he just wants check and take here and just try to play for fortress. Like here. Basically just defend the pawn, just say like, okay, you can't do anything. No, he goes rook d8. Oh, but no, but this isn't... Wait, does this work? Oh, hold on. Takes here. I thought it's not working because of check and e2, but there's rook e8 check. Oh, so Zach might have found the save. Oh, bravo, Zach. So takes here, rook d8. Now, can black keep the queen anyway? Queen e5, there's rook e8 check. So no. Yeah, it's still not over. So takes, queen, takes. Right, you could start with king to d5. But I was just saying, I thought it's not working because check and e2 is like the pawn is promoting. But no, there's rook e8 check. Saving resource. Yeah, so king d5, rook e8, king d4. Hard to say, honestly. Like, this could still be really tough for white. Like, if you got to go king to g1, king d3, h4, but woof, hard to say. Yeah, I don't know. h5, king f3, h6, check. Maybe this wasn't the right way to play it. Okay, because here, for example, there's check and here, which is winning. So king d3, maybe white would have to give check and go h4. But no, actually, it could still be bad. It could still be bad for white. Oh boy, but what choice does black have now? I think has to take the rook. What else? What else, yeah? Don't see another option here. I think has to take the rook. But yeah, might be better chances for white. Yeah, versus that other position, which, well, I wasn't sure. I don't know. Actually, to me, it looked like this position here, check, king somewhere, takes. I actually did not think this is really risky for white, because how does black make progress here, right? Like, even if you trade off one pair of rooks, you're still going to have to deal with this b pawn. Like, queen just can't move off of the b file. And then you can put the rook somewhere, like let's say rook, I don't know, d6 here, rook d7, but it's like, okay, how do you make progress here as black, right? I would think this is a pretty clear draw. Whereas the other one, maybe it's a draw, maybe it's not, but like you don't really know, right? So it's like you're just kind of risking. So king d5 played. And yeah, Zach might have overlooked this one because in his mind he might have thought, okay, there's no e2, therefore I'm fine. There's no check. But here, king d5, king d4. It starts to get really close. And right now he is threatening to check. So if you go h4, this is already winning threat. Check in e2. And the pawn is promoting. So he basically has to go rook e8. Black should go king d4. Now rook check is coming in. So this could be very tough for white. So king g2, I think this is the first move I had looked at. Rook a2 check. And then if king f3, then like rook f2 and rook takes h2, I think you lose the h pawn. You're not happy here. So I think black is winning this one. Rook comes back to f2 then. And yeah. And if king g1, then king d3. And now we're threatening check in e2. So check, king comes this way. h4, king comes this way. And yeah, looks losing for white. That's unfortunate for Zach. Actually, earlier he had I think just completely winning position, and then he blundered, and then I think he was still saving it here. But so tough to make these decisions in these endgames. So tough. But if his opponent shows some good counter technique here, might be gone. Okay, king g2. King g2 is a good try, actually. King g2 might be better try, because king d4, he can give checks. Although king is still coming to e4. Actually, I would play king e4 right now. No, but then check and king f3. Okay, black made that move with 1 second. He gives check. No, king g2, actually. Hold on. King g2, I think he's saving it. So it's like a big difference here. Now if king d4, it's like he can just give checks. And he gets all this with tempo. So king g2, very clutch move from Zach, guys. King f3, and now, okay, easy draw. Okay, so he saved it. And black, I think, just ran out of time, decides to just make a draw, and yeah. So that's going to be it for this game. Dang. Okay, let's just check since this one is over. I just want to check, with Computer here. Yeah, guys, king g2. King g2 is only saving move here. Right, so first we were looking at rook e8, king d4. This one is losing for white. King g2, only move to save. Wow, so clutch fine. So that means, yeah, that means rook d8. This whole thing, this was working for white. Takes, rook d8. Wow, so actually beautiful save here by Zach. Beautiful save. I mean, I'm sure he wanted more from the game, but beautiful save. And then this one, rook e4 check, king f7, rook takes e3. Rook a2, given only move for black is -1. And if you go here, for example, you lose like this, queen d6. So you can lose like this still in that position we're looking at. But white can play, let's say, rook f3. And then computer here doesn't really understand if it's winning or not. But, okay, this one, it's not, not such an easy draw for white at all. Wow, very interesting, very interesting. So this king e6 move, this was where black had blown it. If he plays e3 or d3 here, it looks like he still has winning advantage with best play. But of course for Zach, this queen b8 was such a blunder. Yeah, it's such a nice position, and now he's like total losing. But this is like -6, guys, this position. So it's amazing he saved this. Rook e8 blundering a6. Probably queen a6 had to play. Yeah, b7 here. Wow. Wow, what a game. Okay, guys, I think that's going to do it for round 2. I'm going to be back for the evening round as well, which is supposedly starting in about an hour. Probably be a little bit later for us because there's a delay on the move, so we'll start a little bit after the round. But yeah, we'll be back for round 3. So thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Vegas Chess Festival 2026 National Open. This was the second round. We have a number of players with 2 points going into the next round, round 3, as they continue their campaign to become the 2026 national champion. So, folks, I'll be back later. Stay tuned for the evening stream. And, yeah, hopefully see you guys all in some of the next rounds. So until then, take care, folks.